And yeah,
It's up there. Get that. That up. Monkey here. This one.
Yay!
Okay, yeah, I think we're live now.
Looks like I'm live on my end.
Yeah, we're live on my end.
Yep, I'm good.
All good on my end.
Cool. So, Fuji, can you see us on this? Yeah, we are on the screen.
Yep.
Yeah, I know that today I think YouTube's delay is pretty, long today compared to on other days. And chat seems more active than it usually is at this point.
Yeah, that's nice.
So yes, welcome back to our. I don't know what to call this series. I just refer to it colloquially as a shit talking stream, but welcome back. Chat. Today we have Punky the alien, Bella the dragon, and Fuji the mountain. So I think you guys can introduce yourselves. Let chat know who you are.
Oh, we need to do the order too. I guess Punky, you can go ahead.
Greetings, digest everyone. I am Punky the Alien. I am alive. I'm here. I'm awake. I swear. This is Koki Najma. They're the ones that did the little shirt. Remember? And I'm here to talk shit with for everybody.
Next, I guess we can go with Bella.
I guess I'm next. I'm next. Hey everybody, it's Bella, and I am a dragon. I broadcast from my cave. I play games mostly. This is my first shit talk stream with Koji, so we'll see how that goes. Might be a repeat, might not be. We'll have to wait and see. Other than that, take your pick. Whatever you want to talk about, let me know.
Yeah. I'm just your regular mountain. You're a witchy. I play. No. I play very specific games. I'm trying to learn many games. I don't really know a lot. I make a lot of models, specifically military vehicles, aircraft, jets, blah blah blah. I've not really done that many in terms of cars and stuff. And I like to just sit around talk. Any topic. Any topic you might want to talk about, I can hang with you. That's me. Who's Eris?
Okay, yeah, so Okami from chat asks, do we read any books with pictures on it? Okami, yes.
Oh, do we read picture books?
Yeah, she's like, so first thing was, damn, so many books. You guys can read? I'm like, yes, a lot. We read a lot. And her question is, any books with pictures though? I think I should have Okami on. I should have Okami on the show for one day. Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah, you could. I remember the one. I don't remember the name. The one with the school bus where everybody used to sit in
the magic school bus.
It used to. Yeah. Is it like a local story or is it like a?
It's British. Thing? It's British. I guess. I don't know.
It's British.
I think I'm not sure. Let me just Google it to make sure. Is it? It's an animated series, but has books as well. It's Magic School Bus. Producers.
So basically the Magic School Bus is the only book which I enthusiastically took interest in and read myself.
So it's
I wasn't forced to read it.
So it's from it's country of origin, United States and Canada.
Oh.
So I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a Monday show. And Okami says it's a Monday show. I don't know. I've never seen the Magic School Bus. I've just seen.
I didn't know it was still out in the air. And it was for a long time, but I didn't know it was still out there.
Yeah,
Are they making new shows or just old shows? Too many broadcasts.
God. Speaking of Magic School Bus, man, I actually ended up passing a test because of Magic School Bus, believe it or not.
Oh,
back in the day.
Oh, that's interesting.
I believe it was a bio exam. I remember it was a bio test. I'm not particularly sure. It's been ages, couple of decades.
Okay.
My memory's a little fuzzy on that. But I do remember passing it. I do remember it because of Magic School Bus.
I know some people who passed
Hey, that's nice.
elementary school examinations because of the old Schoolhouse Rock videos. I got some friends that are older than me, and they're like, "Yeah, I passed some of my school tests because of those Schoolhouse Rock videos." And I'm like, "Okay, I can understand why. They were very well done, and they were all accurate, completely accurate. But it was okay. That's the thing. So I can see Magic School Bus being another one that you learn from.
Wasn't Sesame Street something similar?
No, Sesame Street is a. How do you describe Sesame Street? Sesame Street is a micro classroom. So the way it's set up is every 5 to 10 minutes in Sesame Street, they're in a different venue talking about a different subject. And all of those subjects have underlying themes. So they'll have an underlying theme of a number and a concept for the day. And during the whole show, every segment is on that theme or topic. So they might be talking about the number 12 and cars today. And they'll have every segment will be related to the number 12 and something about cars. Versus, hold on.
Oh, interesting.
A dog.
I see.
See, the thing is that the last time I watched Sesame Street, I was like 8, I guess, 8 or 7, and that's like a long time ago. I can't remember much.
I don't think I've ever seen Sesame Street.
And the only reason the Sesame Street ever came back up on my radar was the voice for Elmo did something wrong. The voice of Elmo, I think the former voice of Elmo did something that's a bit too mature for the stream.
Yeah. I think that's the only thing, and like just like these images. I think I know Sesame Street only from like meme images.
Okay,
That's about it for my knowledge.
I think I got the
There's been a
perfect.
couple of scams like that. But yeah, it's a shame when that happens.
Mm.
But yeah, that's the way it was set up. So it's still set up that way. It's always been set up that way. Now, versus you go to like Schoolhouse Rock or some of the other similar things, they have a subject. So you might have history, math, science, whatever. And then it's one concept in that subject. And they might be as short as like 1 minute, might be as long as like 5 minutes. But most of the time it fit within the context of a single song. And it was just everything you wanted to know about this topic within the time it takes to sing a standard length song.
That's to be honest, I'd say it was pretty innovative.
It was.
Hmm.
But it was a very innovative. It was something they did in the 80s. And it didn't live very long, unfortunately. I wish it would have lasted longer because they could have done a lot more with it. But I think it was at NBC, I think it was in that one. They did this isn't getting enough views or whatever, whoever owned it wasn't happy with the viewer count on it. They did so we're just gonna axe it.
Okay, so it was originally on PBS from 1969 to 2015.
There you go.
And now it's being handed over to HBO.
Yeah, I always love it.
Yes, the same network that shows Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
No, not the memories. Why would you do that?
Yeah, it's just she got a bad rap, unfortunately. But PBS is basically shutting down. They haven't had much funding come in the last few. So,
And
with TV stations in the U.S. basically shutting down, they're just losing their funding.
I'd say, television stations are similar to airlines when it comes to, how much capital is required to run it.
Hmm.
Yeah, talk about airlines. India's national airlines is bankrupt right now, so they're going private. But the problem with that is no one wants to buy it. It's so bad no one wants to buy it.
Yeah, that's about right. I can see that.
Oh god.
Puppy.
My viewers are
I
so
mean,
used to doggos in the background. This is this par for the course this rate. Good, alright. Uh
yeah, Puppy is the special guest.
Yeah.
that was
No,
awesome.
to be honest, I would like to get myself a dog, but who's gonna take care of a dog once I get one? I'm like at work most of the time.
Yeah, they are very social and adorable
Yeah.
creatures for me, and
Hmm.
taking care of them is very important. It's the reason why I
Yeah.
like kitties. They're a little nicer and a little smaller most of the time, unless you get a chonker.
Okay, so
But
thing
they-
about cats is I want a Siberian cat. It's like a dog, but it's a cat.
it's like a dog but a cat.
Uh, So it's like a big fluffy cat.
Hmm.
I'm on the opposite side of the spectrum. I want to get a hairless because they look like little adorable gremlins.
Oh.
Now, the thing about cats is, so the thing is, I like cats, but I don't like them when they take a dump in my garden.
Oh, I mean, I think that's par for the course for anyone.
That's cool.
Look, the positive way to look at it would be you're getting free fertilizer.
No, for the thing about cat shit is, for some reason it kills my plants.
Oh no!
So
The nitrogen.
yeah, so
Flowering plants.
yeah, and not just flowering
Lord.
not just flowering plants, vegetables as well.
They're flowering.
Yeah.
Vegetables are classified
Yeah,
as
yeah,
flowering
yeah.
plants. So flowering plants can't take a really high content of nitrogen, and unfortunately, domestic animal droppings have a really, really high levels of nitrogen because that's what we feed them.
Let's see, I won't call these animals domestic. I won't call these cats domesticated. They're the local strays.
They're domestic. 90% of
I
all
mean, but the local strays are fed by our.
Yeah, that's that. So there's a protocol where every morning I go out, wear a mask, get surgical gloves out. If I find a piece of shit, get one of those hazmat bags, put it in, throw it.
The
And
best thing you can do is do a net.
thing about the net is the plants I have need lots of sunlight, and every type of net I looked at isn't really suitable for that.
Interesting.
Actually, you can use a what's called an ultra wide net, where the holes are what
That's
2 to
pretty
3 millimeters apart, and that's more than that blocks zero light to plants. But
I'll check it
will
out.
stop the animals. Yeah, use a metal mesh net or something like that. If you use the tight knit nets, then you're gonna have lighting issues. But as long as you use a real loose metal net, it's
Yeah, like the nylon, like very thin nylon rope ones.
Got it. I'll check it out.
Hopefully that'll get things in order for you.
Thing about the cat was it's not just the pots they shit in. So what happens is like my house is something like it's like 2 levels. My grandma takes the bottom level, I take the top one. And in a way you can say they're two distinct houses, one on top of the other. A cat took a dump outside and I had to clean it. The problem with cat shit is it stinks.
Yeah.
I don't think any. I think that's the universal understanding.
I mean, look, even generally, I would say shit stinks.
Yeah, but cat shit is cat shit is worse than dog shit. My granddad, from my mother's side, had dogs, so I know what dog shit smells like. It's not this bad.
Okay.
It's not this bad.
Okay. Dog shit does not smell bad. Cats can stink.
See, I don't know what they fed that cat, but whatever was in there is wrong. It's unnatural.
We got-
Imagine the cat was fed a McDonald's burger.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. To be honest, I wouldn't be
Story for you
surprised.
about cats. I got a story for you about cats.
Oh,
A
God.
friend of mine decided she loves stray cats. And they
Wow.
found a stray cat at the local mall. So what they decided is they're gonna pick this stray cat up, get it cleaned up, and try and get it a home. Because it was relatively social. Not a big deal. Kind of weird, but I kind of went with it. She's weird in that way, but we love her for it. And after about 3 hours of chasing this cat around a mall parking lot, the one thing they got this cat on was the fact that he would love to eat Chick-fil-A waffle fries.
What?
That's
That was
a
his
posh
favorite
cat.
food.
That's what.
That was his favorite food.
That's some
So if
expensive
you-
cat. I want to say that much.
It was a very expensive cat. But
That's a
he
very
didn't care
posh
what
cat.
thousands of it, but he would eat any kind of potato product. If you couldn't get him to eat anything, you put a French fry down. Any kind of fry, he didn't care. If it was made out of potatoes, that cat would run over and eat it in a heartbeat.
I don't think that's healthy. Cats eating potatoes.
It's a
Thing is, cats can eat anything. They're omnivores.
Yeah, they can eat anything,
He's
but
one of the healthiest cats.
I don't think it's supposed to eat anything that's deep fried. Just think.
I mean,
Honestly, the oil doesn't matter because if you take something deep fry it and it's still greasy, quote unquote, and you give it to them, yeah, that can potentially hurt their digestive system. But if you give it to them after it's cooled off and dried out and the oil's pretty much evaporated off, it doesn't matter. It just goes straight through like anything else does. So it doesn't actually cause any negative things in the digestive tract. So yeah, he was one of the fattest cats we had.
So it's basically
He
Garfield.
was one of the happiest cats that we had, and the only thing he wanted was potatoes.
So it's Garfield.
he was.
It's American Garfield. Like more American Garfield.
Definitely. But that was it. It's like it's weird. I have seen cats do some crazy stuff though. I've seen cats rip chicken legs right out of the mouths of their owners. Yeah, same friend. Chicken leg in her mouth. One of the cats decided it wanted it, ran past her, reached up, snatched it with his mouth, and kept right on going out the door. The dumbfounded look on her face was priceless. Absolutely priceless.
Okay, so one of my granddad's dogs. Nah, he may rest in peace. His dogs were scared of cats. It was scared of basically anything. It was scared of a ball. It was scared of dogs. What else was it scared of?
It was scared of other animals?
No, it was scared of cats. It was scared of birds. It was scared of a ball. Like, you throw a ball to, to get it to fetch.
Had that dog been through something?
I guess so, because what my grandfather told me was, it was owned by a Canadian lady who visited the dog only once a year. So for most of its life, it was in a cage.
What? Food and stuff?
Yeah, so the dog had like it had one of those automatic filler thingies. I'm like, okay, what if it took a dump? The dog
For a year? Automatic fillers for a year?
Yeah, apparently yes. So she had a person come and check up on the dog like once every 3 months, but once in 3 months ain't enough time.
Wait, okay, you have an automatic feeder. What about like the other side?
Yeah.
You have an automatic
feeder out of water, but
No. So what happened was the person used to come in once every few weeks, something like that, to take care of the dog. But once every few weeks ain't enough. So that would explain why the dog was terrified of everything.
Was it some kind of like exquisite breed or something like that?
It was a pug.
Why would you do that to?
I don't know.
Actually, I've owned a pug, and they will pee and poop anywhere they choose.
Okay, so
horrible is the way to put
Really?
that.
no, the pugs. How I put?
Yes.
I know this is unpopular, opinion. It's a fact, but it's an opinion. Pugs have a high inbreeding coefficient, so they're not the most mentally or physically stable of dogs.
Hmm.
I can agree with that. After owning one, I can agree with that. Yeah, like I said, we had an apartment ages ago that I had to basically pay to have all the carpeting ripped out because the pug that we had literally destroyed the carpeting through to the subfloor.
Okay, the pugs that my
It was
grandfather,
very expensive.
the pugs my
We were
grandfather
cleaning
had,
up after us.
the pugs that my grandfather had didn't cause any of those issues, but they had health conditions.
Oh.
Like one of them used to have what's that? It used to have seizures every now and then.
Oh.
I think the most problematic animal we had was a wiener dog.
Okay.
And, well, wiener dogs notoriously have back issues because the way they're bred for length, but their spine really is built for it being as long as people try to breed them for. So they have an optimal length based on their breed, and if they get longer than that length, they have lots of back issues, especially if they get heavy. And we had this one, it was a rescue animal, and it couldn't climb stairs. It had to literally run and then jump with its tiny little peg feet. Tried to jump 2 steps, right? It was like 2 flights. But to jump up the stairs just to get into the porch and then climb into the house.
That sounds extremely painful.
Every time it did that, you could hear it wince. It's like, no, you try to pick the dog up, but it was one of those that it wanted to be self-independent, and it wanted to do it on its own. No, you're going to hurt yourself. And eventually it died of old age, but it had so many issues in its back because of the breed was bred too long. And it couldn't support its weight. So it had a severe arthritis and everything else. But those dogs have neurological issues, they have back issues, they have bone issues. Very cute, pretty dogs. I love them to death, but they have lots of issues too.
Oh yeah, talking about dogs. My boss has about 3 dogs. So he has a Rottweiler which weighs about 50 kilos. Around slightly.
Wow!
Yeah, it weighs 50 kilos.
It took a second to register.
I don't know how much this is in pounds.
Damn. A while back. That means a while back it weighed more than me.
Yeah, it's like close to my weight. Okay, it's 110 pounds.
Oh, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, a kilo is about 1.5 pounds. No, this is for a pound. So yeah, it's about 2 pounds.
So it's 110 pounds. A Rottweiler that weighs that much. So one day my boss gets a call at work from his wife saying there's something wrong with the dog. They take it to the vet. Apparently, it got a bone fracture because it was too heavy.
Oh,
Yeah.
did you put? Oh, hey, I mean, he's 110 pounds, which is kind of terrifying, but he's a dog.
The thing is that being a Rottweiler, 110 pounds is not outside the normal weight range for a Rottweiler.
Really?
But, yes, but if it's the smaller breed Rottweiler,
It's a smaller one.
then 110 pounds is actually about 25 to 30 pounds more than it should have weighed. So it was actually obese. If it was the larger size, then it would be at the upper end, but it would still be okay.
No, it's on the lower side.
Yeah, it was a smaller one.
Yeah, it was a smaller one.
They kept 75 pounds or 32 kilos.
Oh, where did you go? All these. Oh God, I'm okay. So I guess I should add to the pile. So my stepdad, he had a Pekingese. They're adorable dorks is the best way I describe them. Poor fella, just Florida did not agree with him. He was because every time he would go outside, he just had sneezing fits. And
Oh.
he was this adorable little dog because he would hang out with you. But anytime that he was outside for a bit, because Florida's just all about flowers and pollen, so it's just anytime pollen season came around, he just sneezed left, right, and center. But they're so like if it wasn't for like all these kennels and all that doing like these massive breeding things, I would recommend Pekingese to people because they're very adorable little friends that you'll ever have, the friendliest little friends you'll ever have. But try to get one that's like in a shelter and all that. Support trying to get dogs that need homes and not breeding camps. That's the other thing. But yeah, his biggest problem was aside from the sneezing thing, is he loved cheese. You'd put cheese
That's
on
normal.
Now,
Oh.
that's the
Yeah,
thing.
I've seen
I
that.
know it sounds normal. I know it's normal, but he was also allergic to it.
That's not uncommon either.
And I was just like, why would you do this to yourself? Because I found out this later. I was like, wait a minute. Because he would be upset if you didn't get cheese. So it's like, so you're going to get itchy because you're going to eat your cheese, but you're going to love the cheese because it's cheese. Okay.
There's something in the flavor of cheese that
It's
dogs-
addictive. Even for
Yeah,
humans.
they're addicted to it. They love it. They really do love it. It's one of those weird things with dogs is that they can't. If you even switch between cheese and anything else, they'll take the cheese. I don't know why. I don't know if it's like something in their taste buds or something in their digestive system or whatever, or the way it reacts. But for whatever reason, they love cheese. It's almost an addiction for some dogs. But yeah,
I mean, I can agree with that. I love
you're lucky.
cheese as well.
Florida has, what is it, 2 months a year that you don't have pollen? One in the winter and one in the summer? If I remember correctly when I lived down there.
I wish. Oh, God, I wish.
Oh, you must live in southern Florida then.
No, I'm in the northern half of Florida, but no, it's oh god, the trees don't know what season it is because our temperature would go
No.
lower and then it would come back up and it would go back down and come back up. So the trees are like, we don't know what season it is, so here's pollen every day.
Okay, define low temperatures and high temperatures for me.
Florida, average low temperature in northern Florida is around.
I want to hear this guess.
Well, I can do it in Fahrenheit. I'm trying to do it in Celsius. I'm trying to think.
It's okay.
Fahrenheit
Okay, just give me
is
Fahrenheit. I can
about-
convert it.
You're looking
Yeah,
at
the
about
converter.
50 degrees is like nice and low
50 degrees Fahrenheit.
in the winter.
We
If you're lucky. And in the summer it can go as high as like 110, depending on where you are. Now I have been in Florida for a long time, and we did get down into the freezing occasionally. Like 2-3 days out of the year, it might be sub-freezing. But yeah. So the way that what happens is it dips down to like 50 degrees. And then when it spikes back up to the 70s and 80s, like an hour later, the trees panic and like, and then it does it again tomorrow, and then it does it again the next day, and it freezes. It goes down to this low temperature, and then it goes back up to like 80 degrees. It's like,
yep,
it's horrible.
that's an extremely apt description of what basically has happened this week alone. It was in the 40s, and today it's in the 80s. Probably going to be in the low. Well, probably won't get hit the 90s, but yeah, that's today. It's 70 degrees in my room right now, and the temperature outside is probably slightly warmer. So yeah,
for us, that's pretty cold.
I guess 110 is not good. 110 is like quite
110 is what? For 110 is 43 degrees Celsius. That's hot.
43.
That's hot.
60.
60, 70 is 70 is actually, 70 is 21. 70 is actually pretty cold for us. That's like with with air conditioner on. That's 70.
Yeah. Anything under 70 degrees is usually like specific parts of it, like the place. You don't get it all over the country.
It's considered cold.
Yeah, most. Yeah, I guess most places over here, anything under 70 is cold.
Jeez, that's like what makes the Dixon line south. Up
God.
here, it's like 30 degrees is cold.
And
I'm talking about zero. If it's getting close to freezing, it's cold. If it's lower than that, it's cold.
Oh, if it's getting close to freezing, we'll already be like
no, if it's
popsicles by that time.
no, if it's getting close to freezing, that means the gods are angry. People will go and pray. I'm telling you. Or see, think about some people they go crazy. Okay, they like go batshit crazy in the religious angle. So they start tossing money into the quote unquote holy flames. That's what will happen if it goes below zero over here.
Yeah.
Uh,
That,
I wish.
then suddenly people realize there's a word called global warming and something like
Oh
that.
yeah. See, think about Indians and global warming. So they're like, it's a hoax created by the Americans. I don't know why they dragged the Americans into this, or it gets better. They're like,
That's
yeah,
a new word.
see, I live in a coastal city. So when I tell people like, our city's gonna end up like Atlantis, they'll be like, yes, but not my house. My house is high altitude. I'm like, dude, what the fuck? We're the same altitude.
oh
Yeah.
God.
No. So for context, the city might be at like 3 meters above sea level,
Yeah.
and the house might be at 5 meters above sea level. Just 2 meters difference. Like not my house. My house is high rise.
No, my house is in the interior and high rise. Nothing's gonna happen to my house. I'm like, dude, we both live in the same house. That's the thing. My cousin comes over like, nah, it's gonna be fine. I'm like, we both live in the same house right now. What do you mean it's not gonna be underwater?
A lot of houses in Florida are like what you'd be sort of around 3 meters ish above sea level, maybe 4 meters above sea level. And they talk about this global warming. It's like the sea level is going to rise between 10 and 16 feet, up to 4 or 5 meters. And we're like, yeah, that just means my house has got beachfront property. I have no problem.
Oh yeah, talking about beachfront property is okay. So beachfront property over here, it's always expensive. Even if there's a tsunami warning, people spend a shit ton of money on beachfront property.
Oh yeah, that's cool. You see what they spend in Florida? Oh my god, they spend ridiculous amounts of money to have beachfront property. There is a house in the town that I used to live in, out on the beach. It is a 500 square foot house, 3 rooms plus a bathroom.
Okay.
It's got a porch.
Okay, sounds like really good property.
Not bad. Now, it is on 1/8 of an acre, which is
Yeah, I know how much an acre.
Wait, what? It's all on 1/8 of an acre?
1/8 of an acre, and it's beachfront, and it sold in 2000 for $2.6 million.
2.6.
Million US dollars.
For 1/8 of an acre.
Yeah.
1/8 of an acre, beachfront, with a house that only had 500 to 600 square feet.
Okay, so to be honest, in their defense, it's beachfront.
Yeah.
It's beachfront.
Yeah, it is the same. I just realized I was thinking about it. It is the same.
Yeah, it's the same. It's beachfront. That's why.
Let me have.
Now, Fuji, your city is expensive. Okay, your city is expensive as hell.
How do I put it? It's quite unique.
No, it's expensive. Okay, there's no denying that it's expensive. See, my place is expensive, but it's not as expensive as your place. Okay, so for context, Indians love to buy property. Like for non-Indian audience, Indians love property. It's like
What are you talking about?
no, so the more houses you buy, it's like how I put. I don't know how else to say it. It's like the more property you have, the bigger your dick is, something like that. So you have people with, let's say, you have people with like 10 houses, 15 houses. They're like, why do you need those many houses? You spend more on maintaining those houses than, I don't know, the rent you get from said houses.
Yeah, most people rent them when they buy houses like that.
See,
They're like,
now some people
they'll
do.
have to buy a house and they'll rent it, and then it's passive income.
See,
That's the smart way to do it.
no, so what happens is some of these guys, they buy plots of land, and they just leave it there.
Yeah, many people don't actually rent it for some reason, which I don't know why. For some reason, people don't rent it.
They just have plots of empty land.
Yeah, and I knew about a place as well. There's this friend I knew. So there's this studio room. I couldn't even call it an apartment. It's just a studio. Like it's a
It's a
room.
one-room apartment.
Yeah, if I stood in it, I couldn't put my hands up horizontally.
Yeah, we call that a studio here.
Yeah.
That's what we call a studio.
So
Now,
yeah,
it
and
doesn't matter if it's,
that's near the
limited.
shore area. It's not exactly, how do I put this? It's 5 or 6 streets inside from the shore. That
Okay.
thing in which you could barely fit, I guess, 5 people standing up straight. That would cost 5 years ago. That would cost somewhere around 133. 133?
Rupees or
Yeah,
dollars.
$133,000.
And
That's
that's
not too bad.
no, that's actually pretty expensive for India given the average salary, which is pretty low.
Oh. Interesting.
My room right now is literally triple the size of that thing. It's not really that big. My room isn't really that big.
Now, thing about Indian property.
Depends on where you are.
Now, thing about Indian property is, see, since people like to buy property, it's an inflated economy. Isn't there long Greece, for example, that if you have an unfinished house, you
Yeah.
don't. Okay, I'm just reading from Okami's comment. Isn't there a law in Greece, for example, that if you have an unfinished house, you don't have to pay anything to the country? I don't know how to call it. Oh, okay, tax. I don't know about Greece, Okami, but India loves to tax you for everything, okay? You have a house, tax that shit. You earn some money, tax that shit. You invest in stock, tax that shit. Someone commissions you for art, tax that shit. You have a... No, it gets better.
Listen, we're here.
You happen to be above a certain height, tax him for that. Or her for that.
Yeah.
You happen to be unmarried, tax her. Okay, so...
It depends
I
on what
mean,
state
if
you're
that's
in.
how it is
Yeah,
in
it's
Greece,
pretty
it's just
bad here, too.
expensive.
No, so thing about Indian taxes is, American taxes, to an extent, you have guys who understand how taxes work, okay? Here you have actual idiots. Actual idiots, who haven't even finished 5th grade. I'm not making this up. Coming up with complex economic policies.
Okay, so for context to Bella and Punky, if you want, let's say any American or foreign manufactured car in India, if you want a Ford or
Or
what
a Mustang.
what
Ford GT. Let's take a Ford Mustang.
Yeah, that'll work. Ford.
Okay, Ford Mustang. Okay, so if you wanna buy that car and you're living in India, there's 100% tax.
What?
Yeah.
Oh God.
100%
So
tax.
if you're trying to buy a car worth, let's say, $50,000, you have to pay $100,000, and that is
It's a
on
fun-
top of that you'll have to pay for like shipping it and everything. That is separate.
Oh, see, the
Shipping and all
the
is
funny thing is it's a Ford. It's a Ford.
Yeah, it's a
It ain't a Ferrari, it's a Ford.
Also,
I-
sometimes
I-
short for found on road dead. Yes. Oh.
Or fix and
so-
repair daily.
There you go. I had to look up because I used to own a F-150, so I had to look up how much I would have to pay in there, and yeah, that'd be 60 grand for just to have some. I didn't even pay that much for my first truck. I'm like, oh, like. I
That
didn't
is
pay 30
excluding
It's mind-blowing.
getting it shipped to you, by the way.
Yeah. See,
I've never
Wait,
paid
there's
that much
no
for a car.
dealerships out there?
yeah. So what happens is the thing about the Ford example is there are locally manufactured Fords which are shit, by the way, that you can buy
Mm.
for a lesser amount of tax. There is still tax because they love to tax everything. And for Fuji, I think it's better you tell them about the crypto thing because I've been telling everyone about the crypto thing, the crypto tax.
Oh god.
Okay.
Crypto needs to be taxed here.
Okay,
It's
so
not taxed as it should be.
so basically, recently, people over here realized people are making a lot of money in like crypto and digital transactions. So the people in authority decided to make an announcement saying, you know what, we are going to tax all and every transaction anybody might have had, digital transactions you might have had, uh, since the beginning of digital transactions. So not from now, but from the beginning of digital. So the first person to do digital transactions in India will also get taxed. Your tax will be 30%, and the fact that we are taxing you doesn't mean
It's legal.
crypto is legalized.
Of course not.
So what happened is, like, for context,
But we're
let's
going
say,
to tax you and take money from you.
so let's say like you bought, you traded in Bitcoin when Bitcoin was worth nothing. Okay.
Hmm.
Now Bitcoin's worth a lot.
Yeah.
They're gonna charge you 30% of the amount of Bitcoins you traded, not the amount it was worth back in the day.
Yeah, so you're basically paying an inflated,
Yeah.
extremely inflated tax.
Yeah.
That's crazy. They were talking about something similar to that here. Because the way
Houses.
our stock market works is you get taxed
Oh.
on transactions. So
Mhm.
anytime you produce a transaction, you're supposed to pay taxes against that if it's a profit,
Mhm.
and you get nothing if it's a loss. So if you buy it for say $50, you sell it for $100, you get taxed in that $50 difference. Not a big deal. But
Okay. That's but see, the thing
people
is,
who
the thing about
the
me
thing is
is,
that
I'm not really
they-
comfortable discussing taxes on stream because I know they're watching me and I don't want to give them ideas.
but that's the way we work it here, right? So
Yeah.
the funny thing is that they're talking about when they started talking about Bitcoin, is they did the same thing that y'all did. Is that they're like, well, we should tax everything at the current rate going backwards, and they just like, no, that's not a good idea, and they're still debating that. They're still debating that. It's stupid, but they're like, we should do this, and like, no, bad idea. Keep going.
No, it's a terrible idea.
It is a terrible idea.
And the thing about Indians and how I put and taxes are like technology software. I won't say Indians. I'll say the Indian government and technology is. See how I put patent, like you cannot patent a software in India, and copyright laws in India are extremely relaxed. So you invent something, a piece of code, a new algorithm that does something over here. No intellectual property protection whatsoever. And the Indian patent system, and the Indian patents are such that, let's say you have a patent for a screen, let's say dimensions of 400 by 500. All you have to do is change it from 401 to from 400 to 401, 500 to 501. That's a new patent. So I was
that's a lot of paperwork. Why?
see
Kidding.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. People love their paperwork over here.
people love paperwork. It's like because of paperwork, the majority of people here are employed.
But that's if that's the way your system works, I mean, bureaucracy is a way of running a country, just running it on the constant bureaucratic system.
See,
It's crazy, but hell's got to handle the paperwork.
Thing about Indian bureaucracy is, it's like it gets translated from one language to another language, then you get a lawyer to translate it from that language to a different language, and so on.
Yeah, the translations add a lot to the
Yeah, a lot of bureaucracy to
added
it.
documentation.
Yeah. So what happened was my mother
Because
wanted
like every 500? Yeah, every like 500 kilometers or let's say 350 miles, you have to translate all the documents into another language.
No, I say no, not just that. Like if you look at documents, like all the southern states have the same language in their official documents, even though people in 4 out of the 5 states, no, 3 out of the 5 states do not speak that language. Like my mom wanted to sell some property that belonged to her mother, my grandmother, and the thing is she had to get it translated and translate all the documents.
I'm glad we don't have that problem here.
Yeah, that's one good thing.
That's one
Because
good
we
thing,
don't
having
have
like
that.
being able to have like stuff in one language.
Yeah, one language that most of you understand.
We have basically 4 languages. Yeah,
Koki,
go ahead, Bucky.
Yeah, go ahead,
can I ask
Punky.
you a question real
Yeah,
quick?
go ahead.
One of my viewers is asking, is this going to be available later on like a thing like Casco's, or is it just going to be the VOD on your YouTube?
It's gonna be a war on my YouTube, but what's Casco's?
I thought you knew. So it was like, oh god, I've never heard of this before.
Let me just.
Is it like a audio kind of thing? Like there's only going to be audio of it?
It's a podcast hosting site, apparently.
Well, that sounds interesting. I'll check it out later.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Hey,
Thanks
give
for
us a
the
link
idea.
for it in the private channel, because that might be interesting.
Yeah. Let me link the your channel to my channel, so at least there we go.
Now, you know what? You know what? I think I should put this on Spotify as well simultaneously. I don't think does Spotify have a live feature? Let me check.
Spotify?
Live?
Yeah.
I don't know if they do live podcasts. They might. A
You
lot
can
of
just
us have gone to it.
okay. Listen to live. Can you do a live podcast? Yeah, they're experimenting with it.
Interesting.
Given I don't want to get too much into it. Given the stuff some of Spotify's top creators have gotten into, top creator, not creators. I would think that they would want a live stream feature.
Well, it's really popular.
Yeah, see.
It's like, yeah, YouTube and Twitch and Facebook. Even Twitter has done a audio only broadcast. It's really bad.
No, I haven't seen anyone use the Twitter one. Except a couple. Except a couple. And with except a few.
Wait, Twitter has Spaces? What was it?
I forgot the name. It's Spaces. Yeah.
Yeah, Spaces. But and what it is it's like a podcast.
Okay,
The problem with that system is you can't interact with the broadcaster.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Talks, no problem. But you can't send them messages.
Then what's
In here,
the point of making it live?
our users.
We can see
Well-
each of. Go ahead.
Okay, so
the only
As a true podcast, podcasts are basically a radio type broadcast. That's one-way communication of the 4 of us talking. We are independent. We can't see the users. We can't talk to the users that are listening. We're just talking to each other on the topic. That's what a podcast really is. It's a segment of a radio broadcast.
Yeah.
This is an interactive channel cast, so we have interaction with our users.
okay, so
Okami.
Okami.
I guess Twitter. Okay.
Okami says live features on Spotify is for Spotify Premium, I believe. Yeah, must be. I've never used Spotify, so I can't say anything. The thing about Spotify is one of my mom's adopted sisters, I'll get to that. My family had a habit of adopting kids from different families. I'll get to that later.
Okay.
Works in Spotify. And she told me a lot of shit about Spotify. After that, I'm like, nah, I'm not using this shit.
You got dirt.
Nah, I won't say dirt. It's just that the thing is, Fuji, are you going to tell your kids to study the same thing you studied in uni? No, right? It's the same logic.
No.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same logic.
I see.
So, okay, the thing is, my mother's side of the family had a habit of taking in kids from other parts of the same family, or families linked to my family. So, let's say one of my mom's cousins was raised as a sister, one of my mom's childhood friends was raised as a sister, and so on. And one of my biological aunts, was actually raised as my mother's cousin, even though she's my mother's sister. So, it was a different culture. It was pretty unique.
Yeah, family relations
No,
sort of an.
and the thing is, my mother's side of the family was unique for an Indian family itself.
Hmm.
As in, even though they were, biologically South Indian, they were of mixed heritage, South Indian mixed heritage. Like South India itself has about
Mm-hmm.
eight different ethnic groups.
Hmm.
They were of South Indian mixed heritage. They had a lot of British practices. They were Protestants linked to the Church of England.
Hmm.
So it was,
I
they were truly unique.
see.
Okay, so for
Sounds different.
so for context, Indians are racist against each other. We love white people, but we're racist against each other.
Oh Lord.
So give.
I won't go into that conversation.
See, I'm not going too deep into it. I'm just saying that, racist slurs are like a common thing to say at home without being racist. If you know what I mean.
I understand what you're talking about. That's a conversation I don't want to get into. It gets,
Okay, I
it gets
think-
scary here. For the same reasons.
So it's different. It's weird. It's extremely weird.
But that's half the fun of our the differences in cultures. Is things are different, and then you learn new things. That's half the fun.
See, thing is, it's a racist slur which shouldn't be used, but they're like, yes, this. Okay, Fuji, should I use that slur, the one I'm allowed to use because I'm that?
I mean, it's
I'd err on the side of caution
on
for
you.
that one.
See, the thing is, it's not that bad. I'm allowed to use it because it refers to my people, but the guys up not allowed to use that word.
Yeah, we have that same problem here.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. I know which one you're talking about.
It's not just one, it's several. I mean, it's like every ethnic group here has certain words that they reserve for themselves. And it's like, you can't use it because you're not me. And I'm like, dude.
Now, see, it's not like.
Extort
Now,
you.
thing
We
is.
live in the same neighborhood.
Now, see, think about those
We
words.
are the same people.
Those words weren't created by us to refer to us. It was created by other people to refer to us.
Yeah, that's normal.
The thing is, it's, the funny thing is, people who do not identify as racists or race supremacists or anything like that tend to use it casually at home.
It's because it's cultural.
Yeah, see, I'd say it's and another thing is language supremacy is a thing. So, and calling people from other states foreigners is a thing as well over here. So it's like, my cousin's like, those fucking foreigners coming to our state to take it. I'm like, bro, they ain't foreigners. They're from, what passport do they hold?
And
No,
all
but-
we did was cross the road. I love it.
So the thing is, see, if people from outside immigrate here, the guys here love it. However, let's say I move to a different state, people will hate it. Except a few cities.
Mm.
Okay, so Castos it is. You know what? I should check Castos out. The podcast hosting in analytics services, 14-day free
Yeah,
trial.
this looks really interesting.
Well, for you, because you do a lot of this type of content, that would make sense.
Okay, Fuji, there's something called earn Bitcoin from your listeners. Oh no, I can't do that because they're going to tax me for 30%.
Of course. 30%. You're like,
I mean, you can.
50 or 100%.
100% is for vehicles.
Sorry, it's 300% today.
300%. The thing about Indian taxes is, the commissions I get, they already have like a 10% tax. About 10% is taken away from me. Anything I get. And about that, if I cross a certain threshold, I get taxed more. We're talking about that. I have to file my taxes by the end of the month.
You were done with the tax conversation.
Now I have to prove that I'm too poor to be taxed. I'm like too poor. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Thing is, India does not have an upper limit on income tax. As in, I think in USA it's like 40% maximum, right?
Well, it's a it's income based on cost of living within a region.
Okay.
So if your income is below a certain point, let's say cost of living is say $30,000. If you're below that in your region, then your taxes are significantly less or completely nullified. If you're above that, then your taxes are adjusted until you hit to the average mean of like 50 or 60K or whatever it is for your region. So that's they adjust it based on that, and there's also other ways to get around it. But for the most part, yeah, there is a threshold that if you're below that, then you're considered too poor to be taxed.
Okay, so we have something for the lower like below a certain amount. But thing is, there's no the maximum taxable amount in India, as in maximum taxable rate in India, as in they can tax you 100% if they want, if you cross a certain threshold.
I wish they had that here.
No, you know, see, Bella, the thing about that is, they ain't gonna tax Jeff Bezos or Bill Gates. They're gonna tax people like us.
Well, that's the thing. Is that there's a hump. So like the maximum that you can get taxed in the U.S. is somewhere around like 30%.
Okay.
And if you're over that hump, it actually decreases back down to about 26%.
Okay.
So if you need to be below a certain point or above a certain point, and if in that middle, you're basically done for because you're getting no taxes. The problem is that hump starts around the value of 2.5 incomes in a household. So, yeah, by the time you have like two parents working like good jobs and they have kids, they're getting taxed more percentage-wise than if they only had one income or if they had, the equivalent of like 5 incomes. They'd get taxed less in either direction.
Okay, so the thing about my people are, we're the best. I'm not just talking about my ethnic group, I'm talking about all of India. We're the best at tax evasion. We're the
Your taxes are so high.
No, that's because the government doesn't know how to tax us. They don't understand how taxes work. For example, let's say certain industries are exempt from taxation, as in agriculture, textile, and so on. So, multimillionaires and billionaires in India, they just claim to be textile merchants. Open up a subsidiary which deals in textile, and that's it. You cannot be taxed.
We call that a shell corp here.
Okay.
We call it shell corps for tax sheltering. They do that here. What they'll do is they'll have like this big company, and they'll have like 100 tiny companies underneath it.
Okay. Yes.
All of their money is tied up in all those little companies because all of them are at that point are below those tax thresholds, so they can't be taxed for the taxes minimal. But the big corporation umbrellas it all together, and they have like, we have $10 billion in assets. Sure you do, but it's divided up along 1,455 companies, so that all of their assets are less than $10 million, which basically means they're not being taxed.
Okay, Fuji, that's the same strategy anime studios use. Each anime they produce is a separate company.
Yep.
Okay, but thing about that is, see, like rich families, like I don't know, the Ambanis in India can do that. If I do that, the Indian IRS is not going to knock on my door. And the thing about, at least the IRS isn't as powerful as the Indian IRS. The Indian IRS is crazy. They have their own they have like two law enforcement agencies that work under them.
Oh God! What?
What?
Basically, Punky
is
is chaos.
taxation so oh my God! They're like, it must be the top priority.
Okay, think about this way. If like 30 or 40% of the country is evading taxes,
I would say it's a bit high. It's higher than that. It's considerably higher than that.
Even though that was the minimum threshold here, okay? If you have 30 or 40% minimum of your country that's evading taxes, you would have to have your own investigative powers.
The problem
to try and recoup it.
Now, the problem with Indian taxes is they go after the people who pay taxes. They don't go after the people who don't pay taxes.
Who don't pay?
Yeah.
Well, it's because they have no record of it.
Now, the thing is, it's like the people who don't pay taxes are the people whose votes you want.
that's the way it is here too. And you'll have people who get like audited by the IRS here, and they're like, okay, so we're going to examine you and all your business. You make let's say you make $100 million in business a year. They're going to audit you, and we're going to charge you like $1 million to do all this work. Okay, well, why don't you go at Microsoft? Oh, no, there's no problem with them. Their taxes are fine.
Okay, so think about
2 years later, it comes out that Microsoft was evading taxes in 95% of their companies to the tune of like $10 billion belongs to the U.S. government that they've been avoiding for the last 20 years. And they get a settlement that says, oh, I have to pay like $50,000.
No, see, I would say the people who the IRS should focus on would be, Wall Street guys, not Microsoft. Just my...
Wall Street guys don't make any money. Wall Street guys don't actually make any money.
No, I'm not talking about the guys who make money. I'm talking about the, let's take... what's that guy's name? Dan Bilzerian's dad. A farmer, what was he? He was a corporate trader. Claimed that he had no money. Apparently managed to funnel about $20 million to his sons through a couple of trusts.
Yeah, he never had any money.
Yeah, officially he never had money. Officially.
No, he doesn't have money. See, that's the way rich people work in the United States. They don't actually have any money.
Assets?
I can pick some politicians out of here if you want. But
let's not name anyone.
People who will pay like $1 million in taxes, and they have like 4 incomes, and they have like 15 businesses, and they only paid like $1 million in tax last year. And you have this other guy who made $1 billion, and he pays $500 in taxes. Why? Because he actually doesn't make any money. He doesn't own anything. He lives in a house. True. But that house isn't his. That house is the property of one of his companies. And it's classified as a company property. They pay the taxes on it. He pays nothing to live there.
Interesting.
That's how it works. That's why rich people in the United States and worldwide typically pay almost nothing in taxes. And then the companies use little loopholes like, I can pay $1 million in donations to some charity fund, and I get $5 to $7 million in tax credit.
Okay.
$1 million donations. So they have all these loopholes that are created by the government so that they don't have to pay taxes.
Okay, so the thing about India is it's a double system, as in the rich don't pay taxes, the poor don't pay taxes. They just squeeze everything out of the middle class.
That's the way it is here. It's the way it is in Europe too.
Okay, so the thing is, we love our public welfare. So my taxes get sent to subsidized food programs. I don't mind feeding the poor. In fact, I personally support food donation camps and all that. But the problem with the government system is they sell subsidized. It's like if you're lower middle class, it's better to be unemployed than employed over here. They give you free shit, okay? They give you free shit, at least in my state. Like, changes from state to state. My state loves to give free stuff to people, as in, they give free TVs, they give free microwaves, they give free motorcycles. If you're below a certain amount...
Free motorcycle, free microwave, free...
Television. These are free laptop, free smartphone.
And this is in your system.
Yeah, no, this is in my state. I don't know if some other states do it as well, but my state is infamous for this.
That's crazy.
Just very interesting. I mean, I could see. I could see the benefit of it. I could truly see the benefit of it here and there, but I could also see the system being abused. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's not the best laptop or television or microwave available, and those are things that are really useful because we are slowly and steadily reaching a point where laptops or some form of internet communication is now mandatory.
Okay, see, Punky, a laptop is fine, but do they need a TV? Do they need a television?
They need a way to know when there is an emergency.
No. So the thing about India is we don't do television broadcasts. All of that is an SMS sent to your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that here too.
This
Yeah, so the
do
thing is why it works that way is not everybody, like many, like huge amount of population doesn't really have a good, like stable internet connected device, but every single person can be reached through like SMS.
SMS.
So it's just directly, there's the government and the mobile companies, they have it set it up in such a way that if there's an emergency, immediately the entire nation will get like SMS.
Immediately.
well.
I get
If
messages
it's
from Florida still. I get messages from where I currently live and where I lived in Florida. So
well,
I get my SMS messages like that.
but if the people
Yeah.
cannot afford a microwave, a motorcycle, or a to normally they can afford a television, they probably couldn't afford the phone. So it's the reason why I think it'd be
Punky, for context, it's not just for the poor people. Anyone is applicable for it. I can go and get one of those, but I don't want to go get one of those because first of all, it has a politician's face on it. Okay, say one thing is like if you look at the states, like politicians don't slap their face on everything. Okay, you don't see big ass posters of your president or your governor or your senator everywhere you go, right?
no comment.
I mean, like,
Okay.
I mean, let's say you go to a government-sponsored
Probably
health program.
Probably not as bad as you want to say it is.
So for
Yeah.
us, wherever you go, you see you see the equivalent of a state governor or the prime minister's picture everywhere. Like I know that I'm gonna go to this territory. So the Indian vaccine certificates have the prime minister's picture on it. As in, it's so big, it covers like 1/8 the entire vaccine certificate. I'm like, dude, why? Why do you need this? Why do you need this?
Yeah,
We're doing good to be able
people like to
to
put
get
twists
people
on that
to
stuff.
keep their vax cards on them. Not scare them away.
Yeah. Also, Puggy, about the thing you told about phones. Phones are much more cheaper compared to, let's say, like
Okay,
TVs
okay.
and micros and stuff. And those are the older phones, not the smartphones.
Smartphones are even pretty cheap over here. Like I got my
Yeah, even smartphones are quite cheap, but like those are usually like, how do I put this? The population equal to or double the size of, I guess, the entire US population has those keypad phones, those old ones.
Okay, that's because of
So you
signal
can
issues.
only reach them through like SMS.
That's because of network issues. Not so you can get a really good smartphone for $107 over here.
Let's see.
Yeah, Lenovo. No, not Lenovo. Shit, what's that? Oppo and Vivo.
I don't know about other states, but I know that there's several states in the U.S. that if you have a child in K through 12, they're not in college yet, you can get free internet from pretty much any local internet provider.
Oh, that's.
Yeah, it's really
Wow.
cool. And they'll even supply you with a computer. They'll make sure that you have the kid. If you don't have a laptop or a computer for the kid to work on for school, like there's not provided by the school or whatever, they'll even issue you a like $200, $300 Chromebook or laptop for your kid. So your kid's got a computer. They have internet connection. Now it's not great. It's not much better than dial-up. It's not fantastic, but it will work. And they can do all of their schoolwork on that. And for the parents, some of the companies actually have these prepaid type phones where they're it's like a $10 or $20 cell phone that just does voice and text, and it's covered by whatever service provider or the state program. So we have something similar here for the people who are underprivileged, but they're usually kind of a little harder to get into in the program. But it is available if you look for it.
Okay, so Okami says our president doesn't need a poster. He has live TV to be broadcast on. Okami, my politicians have the same thing. In fact, most of the TV stations are owned by politicians over here.
Our politicians are always plastering their face on TV for no reason at all. They don't achieve anything by doing it. They just feel they have to be in front of the public. 24 hours a day, and then they complain because they're having a bad image day. Like, I'm
I
doing
mean,
this thing.
maybe that is
and-
one of the reasons everybody is switching to Amazon. And
Yeah,
Netflix.
exactly. No, the thing about Amazon is I watched. So I watched Amazon Prime's. What's that? Shit, was it? No, not Jack Ryan. Okay. And I noticed that the president looks a lot like Jeff Bezos. The president of USA, who happens to be a good man in this TV show, looks a lot like Jeff Bezos. Okay, tell me, how many US presidents are bald?
We've had a few, but not many.
No, I mean, like, actually bald. Like Jeff Bezos bald.
Hmm.
When they were
Most of
president.
them are
I
after this
don't. I
office.
don't. I don't think we've had a. I mean, he doesn't
Yeah,
look like he wears a toupee, so.
No, I don't. That doesn't count. I mean, a man who's proud to be bald and is bald.
I don't.
Hairball.
Yeah, I don't think we have anybody in our pile.
Yeah,
I
so.
don't
Yeah,
remember.
I don't
seeing
remember,
any,
yeah, same.
American president.
Yeah, exactly. So, why does this president look a lot like Jeff Bezos? Just saying.
I mean, look, it's what was it on? Was it on Amazon?
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, makes sense. That's what I'm saying. Like, see, we just switched from politicians plastering their face to businessmen plastering their face.
It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
They're all the same.
Okay, so.
It's
So,
going to be like 100 years from now, we would be having this conversation, and we would be complaining because the politicians have their face plastered on some asteroid as you're flying by.
okay, so, hi, it's Alex asks the question. If somebody asked you to expose your Google history on live stream right now for $1,000, would you do it? And bracket, this is a joke question, don't take it seriously. Yeah, I'll do it. Give me $1,000, I'll do it.
Sure.
Yeah, give me $1,000, I'll do it, Alex, I'll do it.
No worries.
Yeah, yes, Okami, Jeff Bezos is a businessman, yeah, Okami, he's basically Lex Luthor, but without a Superman.
Oh God, it's.
It's not false. It's pretty bad.
Okay, so my state sponsors all its so my state is in debt. Okay, because they took loans from the central government. Okay, so Dono might have taken inspiration from real life. No. Jeff Bezos is the new one. It's like reality. Taking inspiration from fiction. Like, I'm quite sure Jeff Bezos took inspiration from Lex Luthor.
Yeah, he really didn't have much of a choice. He was kind of born with that.
No,
face.
see, I'm not talking about the hair and the face. I'm talking about the behavior as well.
Yeah, he was kind of born with the face, and he kind of adopted the behavior and mannerisms of the 70s or 80s Lex Luthor. But yeah.
Yeah, see, I'm not telling you. See, every kids back then, they would have read the comics. They would have wanted to be like Superman. This guy on the other hand read the comics. He wanted to be like Lex Luthor.
That's not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing.
We made billions of dollars in the 70s. How is that bad?
It's not exactly bad. It's like how do I put it? Lex Luthor seems to be not Lex Luthor. Jeff Bezos seems to be the kid that ate glue. Sat on the back of the class, ate glue.
I mean. Oh God.
I don't know if eating glue is appropriate, but it's a thing. Definitely a thing.
Okay, so yeah, as I was saying, my state is actually in debt. They took loans from the central government. That's our equivalent of the federal government. The central government lost its appetite for giving free money to the state. So what happens is individual states in India control the alcohol supply, which I think is a bad idea. The government shouldn't control a country's alcohol supply. And the central government controls the cigarette supply.
We had a thing like that back into.
I'm not talking about banning alcohol. Some states do that. I'm talking about
prohibition.
I'm not talking about prohibition. I'm talking about the government encouraging people to drink.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So when I say control, I mean the distribution, the entire supply chain. The distribution is controlled by the government.
and they're
Economy.
Yes.
encouraging drinking.
Yeah, so they have to encourage drinking to sustain their welfare programs. So what you do is you get them addicted to alcohol, then get them to an alcohol treatment rehab program funded by the government. It's like a rotating door.
Oh,
Rotating door. That's lovely.
And what happened? So what happened? So what happened is many states people are so drunk that the biggest killer in India during the pandemic, I don't think it was COVID. I think it was alcohol poisoning because they drank. Or was it the second? I don't know. One of the biggest killers of people during the pandemic
See,
wasn't.
that is not just due to alcohol. That is also due to people's stupidity.
Yeah, that's stupid. It's like addiction mixed with stupidity is dangerous. They drank hand sanitizer, they drank drain fluid, they drank all sorts of stuff.
People like to, I guess, experiment.
Yes, no, it's not experiment. They were desperate, alright. The simplest solution is they should have home delivery for alcohol. Simple as that, okay? Husband gets drunk, beats wife. Wife gets drunk, beats husband.
Okay. I guess. Sure, why not?
And for legal purposes, that was a joke.
I mean, clearly, it's just whole. It just caught me off guard. I won't lie.
Yeah, allegedly this is the issue, but in reality, in some areas it might actually be true. Allegedly.
Yeah.
Okay, where is Koki from? This is happening. I'm from South India. I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to dox myself.
You don't want to dox yourself.
I don't want to dox myself. See, the thing is, my neighbors are doing it right now. One of them's getting drunk right now across the road. And the thing about alcohol in India is, it goes in two ways, okay? It's like, alcohol, good, I want to get drunk. It helps me recover from depression. Two, my grandma. All alcoholics are evil drunks that beat their wife. I'm like, grandma, you know it. She doesn't know I drink. So according to her, everyone who drinks is an aggressive white beater. And according to her, women don't drink. I don't know where this came from, but that's how it is.
There was a mentality like that here too for a while. Back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, so my grandmother was born in the 70s, and India's like about 20 years behind the States when it comes to certain cultural understandings. And the thing about alcohol in India is it's like I drink for the taste. I like the taste. Many people drink they're addicted to the effects of alcohol, not to the taste. Which I don't think it's a healthy way to cope with certain stuff.
Substance abuse is not a healthy way to cope. It's an excuse.
Yeah,
The way to cope is go take a run. Go run your problem out. Think it out while you're running. That's a healthy way to cope.
Okay. The thing about okay, so Bella.
If you're in certain areas, running may be also.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You're more likely to get run over here if you run out. Just saying.
But you know what I'm talking about.
I know what you're talking about.
The substances are not a healthy way to.
No, it isn't. It really isn't.
This is a healthier way to escape your problem. Having a conversation and we just don't care.
Now, how
anything taken in excess is bad for you, regardless of the substance or matter of that you dive into.
Yeah.
If you do it into a point that it takes away from your core, or what you core normally do, then yeah, you're officially hurting yourself at that point.
Yeah, and just to live life in moderation.
No, and the thing about alcohol is lots of people, like what happened was the central government gave stimulus checks. People spent stimulus checks on alcohol, and the money goes to the state government. What a wonderful system.
No kidding. I had a friend of mine though that they used to put it when somebody says, "Oh, that'll kill you. Drinking will kill you, or smoking will kill you, whatever." He used to look at him and do dude, breathing is killing me right now. What you gonna do about it?
Nah, see, my question is, if you're gonna waste money on alcohol, why don't you just give it to me? I like money. I like money. You have money to waste. You have money to waste. That's why you're drinking a lot. So drink a bit and give me the rest of the money. You want just add a bit of water. It'll look like a lot. Simple as that.
Water.
Yeah, and say allegedly. For legal purposes, I'm gonna call this allegedly. Parents send their kids to buy alcohol. So the kids do this. They drink a bit, add a bit of water, give it to their parents. So my one of my aunts is a public school teacher, and she said that her students do this a lot.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, so for content,
If you drink something that's relatively clear,
that is absolutely legal.
okay, so
It's wild. to
so
hear this.
compared, let's say.
Also, as a disclaimer, this is not like overall the entire country. This is different places.
No, different places. It's like this specific city.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all over.
Yeah, it doesn't happen all over, okay? For disclaimer purposes, each state is a different country on its own, culturally.
Yep.
Culturally, economically, socially, they're all different states. No, they're all different countries.
Okay, just imagine Europe suddenly being
Merged into one
transitioning
country.
into being one country. Yeah. So if Europe, like for all practical purposes, fully decides to become one country, then that is how it would be.
well, in reality, that's the way Europe technically is.
Okay, the EU doesn't count.
Yeah,
the EU doesn't count.
The way the European Union actually works and the way it's supposed to work are different. The way it's supposed to work is kind of like the way India is, where everybody's their own country, but they all have a single head.
Oh, so
The
no.
problem is they're all independent heads, and they just ignore the upper head. So
Okay, so
Yeah,
brother,
that's
it's not like we're supposed to be independent. Just that we happen to be independent.
Yeah.
See, our system
I
similar
guess
to that.
so.
Our system is an exact carbon copy of that of UK minus the Queen. You just replace the Queen with the President, and that's it. That's India.
well, and that's the way that the European Union was supposed to work. Was that they were all supposed to be underneath, this common government and work the way that UK or the United States does or India does.
No,
It
see,
didn't work.
no, so
Just ignore it.
the reason I took UK was because we have our equivalent of the House of Lords, which personally I think it's an outdated concept that both UK and India should remove.
Well, when the UK set their House of Commons, House of Lords system up, it was logical for them because that's the way their society was structured.
Yeah, but the
Versus
society's
the
changed.
United States,
No, but the society's
have-
changed considerably since those days.
Oh, I'm not saying it hasn't. I'm not saying it hasn't. But it's just the way that they set it up made sense for the time period in which they set up their parliament. Versus like in the United States, it made sense for when we set up our government. We named it, differently. House of Representatives versus the Senate, because that's the way we were structuring our society at the time. Now, in retrospect, does either work perfectly fine? Sure, it's just a name. Really.
No, see,
The structure is
every
what matters.
every system has its flaws.
Oh, I'm not saying it doesn't.
Yeah, but the thing about
And
let's
the
say
US is
no, the
a
thing
prime
about
example of that.
And I guess it's also the fact that like some particular specific parts of a structure are the last things to change.
Yeah.
Like for example, like what you were talking about, the parliament system. It's how do I put this? Some things take much longer to
okay,
change.
so
than
the funny thing was I didn't know this, but apparently one of my great aunts was was a member of the equivalent of the House of Lords. I'm like, really? My mother said that she passed away. I'm like, who? And she's like, she served. I'm like, really? And I was like, well, I've been bitching about this entire system and I've been profiting out of it.
Family feud.
No, see, so the thing about Indian families are they're huge. Okay, like I won't say they're huge. It's just that they're kind of, I won't call it tight knit. It's like they're in contact with each other.
Yeah, that's
As in, it's like
here we ignore each other.
no. So the thing about this is it has its good sides because you help each other. It has its bad side because it's a dick meshing contest between different branches of the same family.
Sometimes I wish we had more of a system like that here because we have this tendency to, once your kids are adults, so if they're out of school on their own, parents tend to kick them out the door and then ignore them until they want something. And the kids tend to ignore the parents until they want something. And all you have is this can I have, I need relationship between parents and children. Versus what the society we had not 30 years ago, which was the reverse, where everybody was a family. You'd come together every Sunday, you'd go to church, you'd have this wonderful relationship with your family. Your family was your best friend. And that was the common thread in a lot of communities up here. And we've gone more towards that, get out of my house, go away, I don't want to see you unless I need something from you type mentality in recent years. It's an absolute shame. But it's the way
I guess there could have been a cultural phase, like there could be a phases.
See, culture always goes
Maybe
in
after a few years
phases.
it'll change again.
Yeah, it'll change again. It's like a cycle. Because India, despite turning more to towards the conservative end, they like to replicate the worst of the Americans, not the best, the worst of the Americans. Like
I pity you.
Now see, so
our worst is just
I know how it is. So what happened was I went to what's often called the Silicon Valley of India, and according to me, the shittiest developed city in India. Yes, I said it. I know people are gonna be like, how could you call this beautiful city? First of all, the air's polluted, and there's a lake which catches on fire every now and then. Imagine that.
I love that concept.
Context.
Okay, so it's so polluted.
Context.
So it's so polluted that every now and then it catches on fire.
What? Yeah, what?
That's India's Silicon Valley. And
Basically, there's like a layer of chemicals and oil on top of it, which, if let's say, for hypothetically, if somebody is smoking next to it, and they're not careful enough, which oftentimes
which happens a lot, because I've seen people accidentally give cigarettes to monkeys.
Oh yeah.
Seen those
that
videos too.
Yeah,
Why?
Hey, Punky, don't you just want to move to India and just live the good life?
Okay, depends on which state you want to go to, okay? Depends on which state you want to go to.
Yeah,
I would melt in India. It is too hot for me.
There's some really cold places.
Some places where it's cooler than US.
Yeah.
There's some places where 24/7 is cooler than US.
Some places.
I want to see.
You can live in Florida, you can live in India.
Oh no! I once I get all my P's and Q's in order, I'm going somewhere cold.
Okay, so there's a really cold place in India where you get the best opium in the world. Okay, so for
That's your
context,
selling point, right?
yeah, the best in the world. Everyone goes there for that and that only. So what happened was when I was a kid, my dad went there not for the opium. It's a pretty beautiful place, and I'm like, Dad, what are those pretty red flowers? He's like, don't look at that. Come here. I'm like, why are they plucking those pretty red flowers?
Oh
You know?
Yeah, but
And
like
that's-
temperature-wise and like
and that
society-wise also, if you want some to settle somewhere, you can. There's temperatures which you will get temperatures
no,
on par with where
even-
you're living and cooler than where you're living now.
Okay, so down south there are places where it goes down to 5 or 4 degrees Celsius. Really nice places. The only thing is it's kind of rural.
Beautiful place.
Really beautiful places.
Yeah,
People are really hospitable. All you have to do is, buy a bunch of property, open up a tea plantation, and you can settle down over there.
yeah.
The only issue that you might face is it's kind of rural.
Who cares about rural?
That's it. But apart
I
from that,
lived rural. Oh my gosh, I lived in a town that had about 50 to 100 miles of nothing but fields.
no, Bella. When I say rural, in these spots, I mean, there are leopard attacks in places like that. There are tiger attacks in places like that.
Yeah, I mean, that happens in the cities as well.
No, that's because Fuji. That's because they escaped from your zoo. That's a different story. Okay.
Yeah, that's a different.
That's a different
it's
story.
national park, but yeah.
Now, so what happened was I went to one of these spots, like these mountains down south. Like there was a work trip, and during my stay, Like just when we left, the security guard of the place where we were staying said that it's a good thing you never came face to face with a leopard because it apparently attacked one of the local women.
Oh, jeez.
I'm like, and the thing is, the previous night we were doing a barbecue and the dog, the house's guard dog went crazy. It's like it sensed something. I'm like, yes. So what would happen if we capture the leopard, barbecue the shit out of it, and claim that it's just a cat? And the fun thing is, my coworkers were on board.
Tax it.
No, see, if it's a cat, they won't tax it. If it's a leopard, they'll tax it. So all you have to do is classify it as a cat.
They won't tax it if you eat a cat.
No, but jokes aside, it's a really beautiful place.
Yeah.
It's worth settling down. And up north, in the Himalayas, there's opium. If you want, you can go settle down over there.
God.
I think I'll pass.
I mean, I guess up north would be the best for. Up north would be the best for Punky and Bell, I guess. Like, it would be rural from our perspective.
Oh, you're talking about Ladakh? That region?
Yeah, like Ladakh.
Oh, no, we should not send them to Ladakh. I'll feel bad for them they go to Ladakh because it's a good tourist spot, but...
No, something like Darjeeling is also really...
Oh, see, Darjeeling is similar to what I mentioned. It's like rural, cold jungles sort of weather. And tea plantations.
Tea plantations, lots and lots of tea plantations.
Just...
buy a tea plantation and call it a day.
Yeah, that's it. Buy tea...
Might be okay.
I can make I can make a really bad joke about the white man coming back. Because all the tea plantations over there were planted by the Brits.
Yeah, but you don't keep them open, so it's gotta be
No, we don't keep it open, we expand. In fact, all the jungles are gone. It's only tea plantations. That's why leopards attack local women instead of other animals.
Yeah, I've heard about issues like that over in India. We have similar issues in certain areas here too, where the tiger and the bear population, mostly bears.
Isn't the tiger issue entirely man-made, as in people getting exotic cats and keeping them as pets?
No. There are some native large cat species.
Okay. So like the mountain lion.
Right, there's certain species of tiger, lion, leopard,
Okay.
puma
Okay,
that
got
in the
it.
United States that are native to North America.
Got it,
There are
got it.
other species that are escaped from zoos
Okay.
or something similar, where they introduced a new species.
And
So you have that too.
don't you guys have a Burmese python problem in Florida?
Have a what?
A Burmese python. Like it was all on the news over here.
Oh, the large snakes?
We have
Yes,
large snakes
we
down here.
do.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes. And most of the python issues are just what you were talking about, where I have a python. I live in Florida. I love my python. My python escaped, and my python found another python that escaped, and they decided to have babies. And now we have 50 pythons in the Everglades. Very common problem in Florida. And what do the pythons eat? The alligators. What do the alligators eat? The pythons and kids. That's fair.
Fuji, that sounds like the place I want to be in. Like, is it legal to hunt? No, is it legal to hunt those animals over there?
If you have a permit.
Okay, how
It
tough
does
is it?
require a permit.
How tough is it to get a permit?
I don't know.
Okay, so
I know they don't give very many out.
okay,
Like,
so
most counties only give like a handful of like alligator or special game permits
okay. See,
a year.
I'm not interested in the alligators. I'm more interested in the pythons.
It's the same thing. It's special game.
Okay, got it.
Well, it's a special game.
Okay,
Like
so
alligators, bears. If you have a python problem in your area, if you have a wolf problem in your area, if you have a pig or boar problem in your area, those all under the special hunting permits. And depending on what state you're in, they only give a certain number of those out per county. So they might give out like say 20 or 30 per county. And those people are in charge of thinning the population when it becomes a problem.
got it.
That's who they call.
Ah, interesting. So it's like an effective outsourced population control measure.
Well, and they have their own like animal control that do that function,
Uh-huh.
but the hunting permits they use allow them to have individuals during a certain number of months. Like in Florida, in some areas, they'll have like the alligator permit, and you're allowed to bag up to like 2 or 3 alligators between sizes of X and Y. That's what your permit says you can bag.
Okay, and
Mm.
is it legal to have a pet alligator over there?
Again?
Is it legal to have a pet alligator?
No.
Oh,
Legally, no. You cannot allow to have a pet alligator anywhere in the United States. Do people have them? Yes. Is it legal to have
Yeah,
one?
like
oh,
that's technically illegal.
It's a permit.
Yeah, with a permit, you actually can own an alligator. Florida is one of the 5 states that actually do allow you to have an alligator if you have a permit.
that's it. I'm going to Florida. I'm going to have a pet alligator called Alfredo. Because despite India having a lot of crocodiles, as in we breed crocodiles and release them into the wild, they don't let me have a pet crocodile. I asked the forest department nicely, can I take this egg home and hatch it? They said no. So what they
I
do?
don't think there's much wrong with that.
No, so what they do is they destroy the eggs. If it reaches a certain amount, the amount exceeds the amount required, they destroy the eggs. I'm like, don't destroy it, give it to me. Let me raise it.
I'll eat it.
No, I don't want to eat it. See, that was my cousin. He wanted to eat it.
Yeah,
Well, that's one of the things we do in Florida. Florida, Louisiana, and Mississippi and whatnot. If you get a guy that's got an alligator hunting permit, he's a good friend to have. Because he'll go out and he'll bag an alligator, he'll take it to the butcher will clean it and cut the meat, and he just starts selling it. And you can get yourself some really good food, really cheap.
Personally, I want a live one. I want to call it Alfredo, make it run around the lawn.
Yeah,
the alligator just sit on your lawn.
Yeah, just let it sit on my lawn. Scare off the visiting relatives.
That would be a plan. That would be a plan.
Especially the ones who come and ask me, when are you going to get married?
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't you?
nah, I've reached that age.
I'm sorry.
So the thing is, my parents aren't really into telling me to get married. It's the other ones. It's the ones that shouldn't care that care the most. Like aunts and uncles, people I've never met in my life.
It's because it looks bad.
Just people want to
you're
be in
probably
other
the only
people's
one
business.
in the whole family, extended family, that's not married.
No, I'm the oldest one, so. Like, at least among my blood relatives, I'm the oldest one.
Yeah, which makes you the target.
Yeah, it makes me the target, but the thing is, they're scared of my dad, so not many of them openly ask.
See, what you should do is, get married, quote unquote, for the family, so they shut up, and then,
Okay, think about
not
that.
live with the person.
Think about that in India. If both of us don't want a legal divorce, the government gets involved. As in, they'll be like, why don't you both live with each other for a year and then come back? And even if you both want to separate on good terms, the government will be like, convince us why you both want to separate.
We have similar laws here when it comes to separation of property.
No, it's not property. It's not property I'm talking about. It's just both of us want to get rid of the marriage. We're perfectly fine with whatever property each one of us has.
I get it. And one of the ways that people get around do you really want to get a divorce here, is they will buy a second house. So they have full division of property,
Okay.
full division of life, and we've been separated for 2 years. We just want to play divorce. Sign. And they'll do since you've been separated, everything of your personal lives is separated. for at least 2 years. Yeah, okay, and they'll actually sign off on it. But if it's not the case, if you're married to your spouse and you're like, we just had a falling out, it's just not working anymore, we want a divorce, it'll get bloody, and you'll spend 5 or 6 years and potentially $10,000 or $20,000 just trying to get someone to agree that you should be divorced.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's stupid here.
that's basic. That's basically every divorce case over here. Another thing is cheating on your wife is a criminal offense, or cheating on your husband is a criminal offense. Not a civil offense, a criminal offense.
Ooh.
So for context, most of these laws were written back in the time when the Brits just entered India, the late 1700s, mid to late 1700s, and none of them have been updated.
Yeah, there's a
That's
lot of.
surprising.
That's par for the course for a lot of old laws. Is that no
Yeah.
one just sits down to scrutinize them and update them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the funny thing is, most of these guys don't want. Most of the guys we have in power don't want to read their laws.
We have that problem here too.
And the thing is, I went through the laws and I found like multiple loopholes, which I don't want to talk on stream about that because that could potentially get all four of us kicked out of our respective platforms.
Yeah,
Conversation.
Yeah, we'll have it when stream's off. It involves certain topics which which are extremely touchy. Stuff people have to talk about, but it's extremely touchy. Now Fuji knows what I'm talking about.
With those.
Indian laws
We've
weird.
talked about today is borderline as it is in some areas.
No, see, this is pretty wholesome for the usual stuff we talk about. I mean, what I talk about on stream.
Well, I'm not saying we've gone over any lines, which we haven't.
No, wait.
It's far worse, but it's just
Yeah, I know the severity of the stuff we're talking about.
Yeah.
And I'm actually surprised I never touched the Indian stock market in today's stream.
So now you bring it up.
No, so now I'll bring it up. See, the thing about Indian stock market is it's an episode on its own. It's like an entire stream on its own.
I don't understand our stock markets.
No, I find the American stock market considerably easier and more stable than whatever we have here.
That's understandable. A lot of work and effort has went into it to make sure it's a little more interactive than it was, I'd say, at least a decade ago.
No, the Indian stock market is the Wild West.
Believe it or not, there has not been much of any effort gone into making our stock market more understandable or anything.
No, see, the thing
changed
is
accessibility.
See, the thing is, the Indian stock market is the Wild West. Like right now, like about a week back, I think the highest ranking officer and the CEO or something of the National Stock Exchange, that's our version of the New York Stock Exchange, she got arrested for taking advice from a con man and money laundering.
We have that here all the time.
No, I mean when I say a con, when I say a con man, I mean a religious nut.
Yeah, there's not much difference there.
No, it was like a crazy story. We have a respectable lady who's supposed to be, facts and logic, taking advice from a religious con man who looks at the stars and says, okay, time for you to transfer 10 million to me. And she did it. She said she should give him money. It's not like she's the one who won from it. He's the one who won from it.
That's amazing.
And I'm like, okay, this is the Wild West, alright, this is the Wild West. Time to put my money into it. And here I am, having a portfolio of tobacco. No, sadly, now the alcohol companies are listed. Tobacco, war, pharmaceutics and oil. Stuff I don't believe in, but stuff that gives me money.
Yeah, it's understandable. It's sad.
No, but the thing is, if you look at the American stock market, defense contractors do well. Like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon and all that, they do well. If you look at the Indian stock market, defense contractors are the worst companies to invest in.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like for right now, like about a month back, one of the companies and most all defense contractors, publicly traded defense contractors are publicly owned. Not publicly owned. They're about 80% to 90% is owned by the government. So it's a government company that's publicly available. I don't know how else to put it. So there's something called Bharati Defense and Infrastructure. Fuji, you heard of that company?
Might have.
They went bankrupt recently. I was like, okay, the stock prices dropped down to.
The company go bankrupt. How? It's a defense contractor. How do they go bankrupt?
The thing about Indian defense contractors are they are restricted on who they can sell. Primarily, they can only sell to the Indian military. Okay, so now let's say you have Bharati Defense and Infrastructure, and then you have, I think, Hindustan Shipyards. Two companies owned by the government competing against each other. And the Indian Navy needs only a fixed number of ships.
You basically have more manufacturers and more producers than you have consumers.
Yeah. And the reason I asked you food is because they're located in your city. I don't know why the Wikipedia page. No, I don't know why the Wikipedia page still says is one of the largest. The stock dropped down to 1.5 rupees. That's the. Let me just convert that to USD to that you guys know how much it's worth. 1.5 is it's 2 cents.
Cents, pennies, cents.
To 2 cents. Let me just.
How could a defense contract go so? That's just.
And that was the last time. That was the last time they were open. That was around. Ownership as well as Indian promoter. Where's the thing is they're trying to scrape the existence of this company from the internet. Like I just.
That tends to happen when a company goes under.
It went under. It went under really bad. Like 1.5 rupees per share is it's okay. Sorry, I stand correct. It's 1.95, but still, that's come on.
Yeah, I mean that's what will happen if you have. First of all, you have more producers than you have consumers,
And you're restricted
and
on.
you have a cap on the producer is restricted on who they can't choose. They can't go to more consumers. They can't go to more markets. They have to feed. 3 people have to try to fight it out to get
1 person.
their product bought by 1 person, and that's about it. Yeah, I mean that's bound to happen. Even in what if you have kids selling lemonade, the same thing is bound to happen.
Yeah, but the thing about kids selling lemonade is there's no
kids
cap.
selling lemonade to one dad.
No, see, it's like three. It's like if the kid's dad says all 3 of you are only allowed to sell to the neighbor, not to anyone else, just our neighbor. That's what happened.
Exactly. So you have triplets. They can only sell to one house. And then one house is this is my capacity. I can only drink 2 glasses. So the poor third kid is gonna go home crying.
That's like only one kid's the favorite kid's gonna do well. Everyone else, screw them.
Yeah, we don't have that problem too often.
Nah, see, think about Americans. They're like Indians from the 60s. Indians in the 60s love their wars. We weren't the peace-loving people like we want to portray ourselves as. We loved war, alright.
We're kind of mixed on that concept.
No,
we do have a lot of people who like just the concept of they want to go to war.
Nah,
they want to stay in conflict, and they make a lot of money off of it when we do.
See, what I meant by that is back in the day, quite a lot of my, let's say, quite a lot of people from my grandparents' generation served. It was, and all of them have seen about 4 wars, 4 active wars during that period. And this does not include any of the overseas UN missions or anything of that sort.
Alright.
Which says a lot. Now it's like how I put it. Nowadays it's a bit more We never invaded another country. We are peace-loving people. We will never go to war. That's our bullshit. Which, I know people are going to be like,
Yeah, the
okay.
narrative keeps changing.
Yeah, the narrative keeps changing, but right now it's more like, they're whitewashing our history to be like, all the princely states of India willingly joined us. We didn't invade anyone, which, come on, like, if you're gonna lie, at least lie in a way that makes sense. Yeah, I know someone's gonna be, like, people are gonna be like, Koki, you warmonger. I'm like, nah, that's our culture. I'm proud of it. We invaded countries.
No, you should be.
Yeah, we invaded countries. Like, we brought stability to the region under the sword.
If that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Yeah, that's what it takes. Simple as that.
Yeah.
It was a different time. And it's a touchy topic for people over here.
I mean, when there's narrative change, there's bound to be some friction.
Now, see, back when I was in uni, there were kids who wanted a military dictatorship. I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? That was around 2016. Like, I was in my second year of university back then. And they were like, it'll be cool if a military took. I'm like, are you okay? Did you like hit your head a bit too hard?
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? Maybe.
Maybe they did, yeah. Okay, so here I have it. So Bharati, the defense contract I was talking about, dropped from 800 rupees, close to 800 rupees to 1.95. So let me just convert that. US. So 800 rupees for here is actually a pretty decent amount. It's like it dropped from $10.71 to 2 cents. And they filed for bankruptcy. And the sad thing is they want to sell their stuff, but no one wants to buy their stuff. I mean their assets.
Yeah, unfortunately.
And the assets to be worth something, at least.
No, the thing about that is like there are too many shipyards over here than actual ships that need to be built. So
that's understandable.
So no one wants to buy it.
We went through a phase in the U.S. between the 70s and the early 90s. They shut down a lot of shipyards that were left over from like World War II.
Was it the
that were still in operation?
Was it due to the post-Vietnam anti-war movement?
Or was it a symptom?
Okay.
The Vietnam and Korean wars were like us revving up for aerospace, your helicopters, airplanes, part of it. But we still had in that time period a lot of the naval shipyards operational from World War II. When we were building the tankers and the cruise liners and the military ships and the non-military transport fleets that were ferrying goods all over the world during that conflict, they were still operational. They were losing business over the years, and they were slowly shutting down. But somewhere in that range, 15-year period, they just did you know what? We're just shutting a bunch of you down. And there was no one to buy the assets. We had the same problem. Because nobody was building boats. Why? We didn't need them. They're building, 747-sized aircraft that can carry as much as a small frigate, when it comes to cargo. They can carry 400 tons of cargo on a C-17. They don't need a boat to carry that cargo from here to Europe when they can put it on a plane and carry those emergency supplies and that equipment from here to Europe.
Another thing about
that's kind of why we don't build any boats.
Okay, another thing about Indian defense contractors is if you're a private contractor, you're heavily restricted on what you can or can't do. As an R&D is extremely restrictive. You cannot conduct R&D on your own without explicit permission from the government. And R&D is classified as designing a new type of antenna to a new type of aircraft.
Well, yeah, that's R&D's pretty pretty broad concept, but why would they restrict R&D? That's like the bread and butter of any business, is being able to build something new.
No, the thing about that is it becomes like what happens is when a government is the owner of companies, at least that's what I've noticed here, it provides a conflict of interest. As in, do you want to restrict? How do you handle your competition?
See that? I see that.
So what happens is like, for example, what's that? What do you call that? E-cigarettes, Juul, what do they call that? Oh, vape. Vape was banned immediately in India under the quote-unquote statement that kids are using it. But my statement would be, I've seen kids smoke cigarettes. In fact, kids smoke more cigarettes than kids smoke vapes in this country, because a cigarette is like 5 rupees. 5 rupees is what? 5 rupees is about 4 cents. Which is pretty...
That's old data, I would say.
Okay, 10 rupees. Okay. That's
It's 20.
It's not 20. My co-worker smokes one that's 10 rupees.
Okay, then it's a state difference. It's a
maybe state tax. Maybe a state tax.
State tax, yeah.
Because cigarettes are not untaxed that much in my state. It's only alcohol that's taxed a lot, because the state government needs money. So my question is, I've seen little kids, high school kids, go and buy cigarettes. And then a friend of mine who's into analyzing stocks for cigarette companies of all things pointed out that the Indian tobacco company is owned by the government, and vapes provide a direct competition for the ITC, the Indian Tobacco Company. So it's in their best interest to eliminate said company. So it causes this weird, conflict of interest. As a government, you're supposed to protect all companies, but you are the owner of some companies. So what do you do? And that's one thing. Another thing is the Indian government is kind of terrified of private defense contractors in a way. I won't say it's like they're not happy with private defense contractors. It's like there was like a couple of scandals involving a Swedish company and the Russians.
If you have bad experiences, you're bound to be paranoid.
Yeah. So what happened was they
look at the U.S. We are a model on that. Contractors are private, and they just do government contracts. And there have been some very interesting conflicts of interest internally and externally with those companies.
Okay, so with those companies, how about the Indian scandals make the American scandals look like kids in a playground?
I'm not saying they don't. I don't know much about your Indian scandals, but the problems that we have is this technology proprietary to the U.S.
Okay.
Or are they allowed to sell to other countries? And there's been a couple of times where one of the contractors sold something to say France, good close partner in the U.S. politically, and that was supposed to go outside the U.S. and it's listed as being stuck here in the U.S. and it ends up being this big, huge political scandal.
Okay, God.
Because we're selling secrets. And it's like, no, you're not.
Okay, God.
It's that is only a step above commercial.
God, so I think it's something similar with private military companies as well. Like, for example, I heard a couple of company employees were arrested. I don't know which. I can't remember which company exactly, because they trained the Emirates UAE Special Forces, which is intact, and they were American citizens. And from my understanding, American citizens aren't allowed to serve in foreign militaries. So even though they were
That's kind of iffy, but yeah, it's not. To serve in a foreign military, technically you're supposed to be a citizen of the country you go to, which requires you to have citizenship in said country. You can hold dual citizenships between the U.S. and foreign countries in certain scenarios. And if you do hold dual citizenship, you can be a military armed forces in the foreign country that you have dual citizenship with, but it is heavily looked down upon to do so because you're technically a U.S. citizen.
So it's on a case-by-case basis.
It's a political thing, but it's not illegal.
So it goes on a case-by-case basis. Now let's say So let's say hypothetically your citizen, not your citizen, serves in say the French Foreign Legion. Would that come in the legal or illegal category?
Because the French Foreign Legion, you could do that.
You could do
Because
that.
the French Foreign Legion has a very, very, very specific set of rules. Technically, when you enter the French Foreign Legion, you give up all citizenships. You are a citizen of no country.
Okay, God.
So the French Foreign Legion is a special case.
Okay, so suppose
you legally are not a citizen of any country.
Okay, suppose hypothetically you start serving as an instructor for, let's say, the Saudis. Where does that fit in? Because that's what.
Honestly, it depends on what you're teaching.
Okay, so that's what these guys got. So that's what these guys got caught in. Something like that. They were giving specialized training for the UAE, and technically they acted as Emirati Special Forces.
That sounds entertaining. I'd like to see how that case played out.
I'd actually.
I'd like to see that. I'd like to read that one because that'd be pretty interesting.
No, surprisingly, they were quite effective. Given that most Middle Eastern militaries aren't really that good. I was in the region. I did my schooling in the region. I can tell you that Middle Eastern militaries, really nice guys. Not going to take that away from them, but they're not soldiers. They're just a bunch of rich kids who want to do something with their lives.
Yeah, I don't know about that. That's weird.
Yeah, but thing is, like, talking about American company scandals, like, there's this one story which you guys have to hear. It involves a Japanese adult star, the Yakuza, a World War II era Zero fighter developed by Mitsubishi, and Lockheed Martin. Lockheed Martin and the Japanese government.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Can you imagine a story like that?
Believe it or not, the prototypes for the Zero fighters were actually U.S. made.
Yeah, I know. See, the thing is, this involves a Japanese adult star.
Which company was?
A Japanese adult star are using the kamikaze maneuver on a Yakuza who's connected to both the Japanese government and Lockheed Martin.
That's just weird, but I wouldn't put it past anybody.
Okay, so for context, what happened was, I don't know when this was, but a Japanese adult star and a nationalist found out that a Yakuza boss was working with Lockheed Martin to sell, sell not up to the mark aircraft to the Japanese government with assistance from a couple of Japanese politicians. So what he did was, instead of reporting it or taking it up with his country's leadership or whatever, he decides to go the old-fashioned way, as in the way of the samurai. So what he did was, he stole a Zero fighter from a Japanese museum while dressing up as a security guard, flew it, kamikazed it into this Yakuza member's house. Luckily, the guy survived. He was out during that day. And that thing, brought media attention to the entire scandal, which involved Lockheed Martin, the Japanese Prime Minister at the time, and the local Yakuza.
That's one way to go out, I guess.
Yeah, see, that's like, he may have started off as a porn star, but he died a samurai.
Yeah.
Weird stuff. You can't make up real things. There's too weird.
No, see,
The weirdest stuff happens in real life.
No, the thing is, Japan. The stories from Japan are amazing in their own right.
They are a very amazing culture.
No, it's not. See, it's like Japanese crime. It like goes from 0 to 100 immediately. There's no middle ground.
No, there's not. They have like in most cities and provinces over there, they have zero violent crime. They have zero attacks on people, at least being reported.
No, see, it's like how I put it. It's like, yes, zero. There's no.
It's like you go across the line, and it's like you have insane amounts of like drug trafficking and human trafficking and
Okay,
all
so
of the most egregious efforts.
no, so
And they're
think,
like side by side.
so think about human trafficking in Japan. I know it's a good thing non-Japanese people watch this. The thing about human trafficking in Japan is because the laws are weird.
Yes.
The laws punish the victims. So, it's weird. And when I say Japanese violent crime, when you say Japanese violent crime, yes, most cities are safe, but it's not like one murder or one mugging. It's like no murders, and it escalates to a guy takes a van, buys up a shit ton of ammo, and goes on a killing spree. So I think,
Yeah. Well, the thing is that would even be more sensational in Japan because they're not allowed to have guns.
yeah,
There's only
exactly,
two types of guns allowed to have:
yeah,
a single shot shotgun and a single shot bolt action rifle, both of which are flagged for hunting if you live in like a super rural community. So you can't even like really use that to go on a shooting spree.
and the thing about they go on a stabbing spree. That happened in what was the Ikebukuro, right? So I forgot that case. He books a van, goes and buys a shit ton of knives, crashes into.
Yeah, it was a truck.
Yeah, it was a truck. He crashes in, kills a shit ton of people, then goes on a stabbing spree.
Yeah, there's been a couple of cases like that over the years.
Or they'll be like, see, Japanese crime, like, nothing happens here too. Then he kidnapped a bunch of kids, raped them, and I'm not going to, he ate them. He ate them. I'm like, what do you mean he ate them? What do you mean this is normal? What do you mean his parents are related to each other?
Sure, why not?
Oh no.
But,
Oh.
but I'm telling you one thing. If there's ever a place for me to be hired as law enforcement, it's Japan. They should hire me. I can help them with half their crimes. See, I'm from India. We've seen this shit. We've handled this shit, and we know how to investigate this shit. Just hire me. I can get this stuff done.
Whew.
That seems to be like the issue though in Japan. Is they don't want to, because of their culture and the way everything is.
Yeah, and that's
They'd rather just sweep it under the rug.
that's the thing.
It's true though.
Yeah,
And
it
there's a lot
is.
of, like,
It is. I don't disagree with you on that. So the thing about the human traffic thing is most of them are runaways. And thing about runaways are it's like, see, a girl getting trafficked, she ain't gonna go to the cops and be like, yes, I was forced into doing stuff I didn't want to. Because according to Japanese law, she's the one at fault because she's the one that was involved in the P word.
yes, she willingly did it.
Yeah, so she willingly did it, thereby she can be punished by law.
Yeah, their policy and philosophy is she should have committed suicide.
Yeah, she should have committed seppuku.
What?
Yeah, that's how it is.
Nah. You gotta link me the article now. There's no way.
There's an
This
entire.
feels like a very long yarn. Please.
No,
Like,
let me get the documentary.
there's no. This is so bad. How old is this case?
Pretty new.
It's not a case.
2010, 2014.
The mentality.
What?
The mentality over there has not changed.
Okay, here go. I got it. Schoolgirls for.
You take you put a knife through yourself if you do that?
No, see, so
Really? That's what you're supposed to
no,
do?
so what Bella means is not literally, figuratively. No one's gonna believe you. Here you go. I got the schoolgirls for sale in Japan by Vice News.
Ah. I see.
I don't know if I've seen this one, but I've seen some
And
of these types of cases.
It's Vice though.
See,
That's
thing.
the problem.
No, see, thing.
You say it's Vice, it's like, oh, it's bad. But
No, this one's actually
over
good.
there, it's actually, these things are real.
No, see, thing about the Japanese, they have a weird obsession with schoolgirls. I do not know why. What's with schoolgirls?
It's not schoolgirls. It's an age range.
Oh god, no, it's even more
What is
disgusting than I thought.
It's an age range. It's like 10 to 22.
I.
The reason they have that obsession, and this is a cultural thing over there, if you look at the way they handle business, you are eligible to be married around the age of
16.
14 to 15.
No, 16.
Depending on which province.
16. 16.
16.
Pretty sure 16.
No, Tokyo province is 16, but some provinces it can go down.
Is lower than 16?
Oh my.
No, for context, I'm quite sure in certain states in the US there's no minimum age for marriage. I think there was a Pew article on that.
What?
Come again?
Ah.
So in some states in the USA, there's no age that's defined as the legal age of marriage.
That's actually true. Believe it or not, that's actually true.
Damn.
Yeah, so it's like how to put.
You have three ages. You have age of marriage. You have age of
Okay.
Adulthood. So age of majority. But you also have age of consent. You have 3 different age ranges. Age of marriage in most cases considered age of consent or age of adulthood. But there are some states that on the books do not have one listed. So technically you can marry an infant. Technically, according to the law.
Yeah,
In
but
reality, no judge would ever sign off on that.
Yeah.
The law doesn't say that you can't.
No, but sadly, there are a couple of extremely conservative societies which do practice child marriage. Let's say upstate New York.
Well, I'm not saying there's not. What I'm saying is that on the books.
Yeah, on the books now.
Because there's no minimum age listed. It doesn't mean you can't. It's just most judges never would.
Yeah, true. See, it's like another thing. Okay, cool. Oh, so
what I was gonna say is between the age of like 10 and 22 is their target age. The reason this is an issue over there is as a woman, as any female person over there, you are considered desirable until you hit college. Once you've hit college, you've been considered you're an adult. When you're quote unquote an adult, you need to do adult things, which means you need to be in school, you need to be working, or you need to be a wife. That's it. If you be a wife, you can be nothing else. So you go to school, you go do a job for a few years, you get married. By the time you're done with this, you're in your mid-30s. Not attractive. Men, on the other hand, they go to school, they get a job, they have a job for the rest of their lives. They don't get married until they're in their 30s or 40s. They're not allowed to have relationships in their teens. Why? Because they're not. It's part of their whole philosophy of life. So they don't actually get a chance to have that teenage romance in a lot of areas in Japan.
You know that
So what they have is in their 30s and 40s,
Oh,
they have
interesting. So it's
guys
built up in
fantasizing
such
and
a
wanting
manner
to
that
be
there's
with
a
the girls
mismatch.
they never could have.
and the ironic
that's
thing
why
is, it's a bunch of VTubers. People associate us with the Japanese. Bitching about the Japanese right now. And also,
Yeah, that's true.
okay, so Fuji Sky's on chat. He just popped on the wrong time. He's gonna be like, what the fuck are these guys discussing about? Okay, so for context, Sky's a friend of ours. Me and Fuji know him. He just pops in and he hears us talk about this shit. He's gonna be like, what the hell's going on?
First guy. But yeah, that was very interesting to know, like the process, like why it is such a way. So systematically, according to what Bella said, systematically there's a mismatch.
Yeah, see, it's a systematic framework. See, it can be solved, but the first step is accepting that there's a problem.
It actually is changing in Japan.
That is
Because
changing.
the younger generation, the under 40s over there right now, are really pushing towards having a more balanced culture. So you don't have women being forced into only being a wife and not being able to have a career once they get married. You have that push. You have the push of being able to have socially acceptable relationships as teenagers and not being you have to be in school 24 hours a day and that's it, which is what they have right now. Their culture is slowly starting to change.
You know what? They should improve. They should improve immigration. They should improve immigration. I'll be extremely useful for them. Just
I
saying.
will go.
Yeah, you knew I was gonna plug in my plug in the self advertise over here, didn't you?
Hmm.
I was gonna self.
I understand their tight immigration policy, though, because when you think about
I mean, one thing, like one interesting thing, yes, immigration I would like to improve in Japan, but one cool thing which like we could all, if we want to go to Japan, we could take a benefit of if ever immigration got easier, is really cheap housing in, I think it was in Hokkaido.
Oh, it's in Hokkaido, not Tokyo. Okay, Tokyo is extremely expensive.
Yeah, not Tokyo. Hokkaido, you can
yeah,
literally get like housing for free. You just have to. There's some laws where you have to stay there yourself for at least like 3 years or something, so that you're not getting something for free and then renting it out.
let's
So
move away
that's
from that one.
I
That's a little
fully
too
I agree
political.
with that. That makes sense. But I mean, I get a free house in Hokkaido. That sounds really nice.
No, but the thing is, if I ever settle down and say Japan, I want to be in Tokyo, not Hokkaido, because that's where the money is.
Hmm. You're looking after the money. I'm looking after the life.
Nah, I
I'm
don't
looking
see.
after
To
the
be honest, okay.
early retirement
Now,
life.
to be honest, I don't want to retire in Japan. It's like a really slow, peaceful life. I want to hear the dog sound in the middle of the night. That's what gets me to sleep. I want to hear the stray dog sound in the middle of the night.
I guess
You know
we
what I mean,
have
right?
different views of. Yeah, I understand. I guess
And,
we have
be-
different views of retirement
and because
then.
see, what happened was I've gone to the mountains. I've gone to really peaceful places, peaceful lives. You know,
Hmm.
places where we can, settle.
Yeah,
Now,
have like a peaceful life out in the mountains.
yeah, I've tried that, but the thing is, after 3 days, I get bored.
You'd get bored in
Okay.
any other country. If you get bored in your home country, you're bored elsewhere.
My point
Yeah, I
is,
mean,
I
depends.
used to live out in the middle
You
of
have to start
nowhere, and
doing
I
something
loved
long
it.
term.
thing is, each person,
Hmm.
my
It was
personality is, I need a fast-paced life. I cannot live a slow, peaceful life.
Low pace. Okay, got it. Yeah, I would say I am having to live a fast-paced life right now.
Yeah, so,
I
see,
guess most all of us are, but personally, I am more. I realize I'm more suited for a slow-paced, relaxed life. For me, at least, retirement. I would like something like either some cold, not cold, but cool mountains. That kind of a place where there's considerably less people than there are right now around me.
no,
So
you
I can
see, yeah,
chill a bit.
I can imagine Fuji in the mountains wearing an actual kimono, having
Yeah,
matcha tea in like one of
there's
those.
there's there's a there's a hot spring nearby.
No, I don't see. I find the concept of hot springs weird. Let's be honest.
why?
I see. Look, I don't know anything about hot spring. I've just the maximum I know about hot springs is I've seen on YouTube and stuff.
Now, see, thing
That's
is
the extent of knowledge I have
see,
about
the
hot.
concept of communal bathing is kind of weird to me. I won't say don't do it. I'm just not comfortable with it.
No, I mean like wearing like a sauna. Not sauna. What are those called? Those where you don't go naked in it. That you wear like
A towel.
swimming wear.
You wear a
No, no,
towel.
no. I am not a Japanese. I'm gonna wear swimming
You're
wear.
a
I'm
very.
not gonna go in with a towel.
Evolved, but yeah, it's a kind of towel. It's a towel type
But
wrap.
oh no. So the word I was looking for was jacuzzi. Something like a jacuzzi.
Yeah.
So you can sit and relax in it right next to like a probably like a wooden house, some two-story wooden house.
I would never own a jacuzzi again. Never. They're a pain to they're a pain to maintain. My
Okay.
parents
So
had one, and
how
maintaining it
different would
took
a
almost as much
jacuzzi be
time
from
as
like
you know.
I see. How different would a jacuzzi be from like a hot spring in terms of like actual the two things? Is a jacuzzi just like a artificial hot spring or is there a difference?
Basically, yeah. What it is just got hot water that is pressurized into a stream, so it's constantly rotating. Same basic thing as a hot spring. Same basic principle anyway. The problem with it, though, is that because of the way they're designed, if anything gets in there, including body oil,
Oh
it
no.
just destroys the mechanisms inside of it, of the jacuzzi.
Oh, it will spread throughout
And
immediately. Okay.
you end up spending, like, say, $1,200 on the jacuzzi, but you then end up spending like $50 to $100 a month just maintaining the bloody thing. Because you have to clean it out. You get special chemicals, and you have to flush the water out of it, and it's a mess. It's dirty. It's nasty. It's not hygienic. You can't keep the things clean. Even just you're the only user of it, and you'll notice that. You ever had a bathtub that just had that film that just didn't go away? Well, jacuzzis develop that much faster. They'll develop that in a month versus a bathtub would develop it over the course of like a year. You have to do a really good deep clean out of bathtub just to clean it up. And jacuzzi gets that in like a month. It's like every month you have to drain it, clean it, run the chemicals through it, drain the chemicals out, scrub it down. It's a mess.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a lot of
It's
work.
a lot of work. That's why if you go to a Japanese onsen or something similar, you have a separate room where you bathe. You actually bathe and clean. You're clean when you get into the water.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then when you get out, you bathe again. And then you go get dressed. That's how it works. And because they do it that way, they remain clean and hygienic, and they don't have to really treat it with a lot of chemicals to keep the bacteria from filming and whatnot. That's why it's that way. That's why they always make sure that whenever they show it in like an anime or whatever, they always make sure to emphasize this is the room they put their clothes in. This is the room they bathe in. This is the actual hot spring. You don't always see them bathe the second time on the way out, but it is.
It's implied.
To them, it's implied. To everybody else, we don't see it. We don't notice it. But it is there. It's in their culture. But that's why they make an effort to focus on we bathe and then we soak. Even when they have like the bath in the house, that's when they do it in their home. And they have a bathtub in the home. That's what they do. They draw the bath once for everybody in the house. You bathe, and then you soak. And then you get out, you rinse off, and then you give it to the next person in the bathroom. That's why they do it that way.
That's really nice.
It's also
It's
water
really
efficient.
nice to know all these intricate details. Okay, so what would your we're really talking at the wrong age about this, but what would your ideal like relaxing place would be like? I don't want to say retirement because most of us are just about getting into a job.
Fuji, I'm in IT, okay? I want to retire by the age of 30. Every person in IT wants that, so I'm in that age.
Yeah. Okay, so for Bella and Punky, what would be your like ideal like geography, or do you have any thought? Like a place to chill out?
Say one more time. Sorry, I'm trying to handle the my furry friends at the same time. Sorry.
No, I'll repeat. So something like a retirement house. Not exactly like a retirement house, but just a vision where you would like to chill, like a geographical
Oh,
vision or a type of house, or something like
oh, yes, absolutely. Um, I, I've always thought a good place to settle down, do things, basically spend the rest of my days is somewhere nice. As I said before, I like it cold. I really thoroughly like it cold. And
that.
I don't when it comes to the home, I just I've always been a person about simplicity. I've always really enjoyed very simple things. I mean, I like function over. I'm a function over form individual. It doesn't have to look pretty as long as it does its thing very well. And
Mm-hmm.
that's most of my colors that I in my room are very either dark color, extremely dark colors, very muted colors, like little light greens, or the purple is my most exaggerated color that I thoroughly enjoy. I I just want to be to the point where I could just settle down and be happy and continue doing what I'm doing now. Honestly, I like being there for people. I like being there every day or every day that I stream. I've always I just want to keep being able to do this. I want to make people's day. I would never truly retire. I would keep doing what I do until I'm too old to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, retire, not like sit alone in a room like an old grumpy person. Yeah, more
Oh
like
no, Fuji, that's my worst
fully,
nightmare. Me
fully
sit,
immersed.
me sitting in a room
Yeah.
being
So
like
that's not
those
what I
darn
meant.
kids.
Yeah, no. That's not what I meant. Like fully immersed. Of course, yeah, like streaming and stuff. That would be, you see, that would be more fun. No, if you get your like
Fuji,
ideal,
you're breaking up.
comfortable life.
Fuji, your voice is breaking up.
Oh, apologies. Is it okay now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's stabilized now.
Uh, it might have. I might have had certain internet issues.
Okay,
These times.
has the server guy fixed it yet in your place? You know what?
No.
For context, did you want to tell Bella and Funky your story, the server
Okay.
story?
So just yeah. First I'll just ask again. You're able to hear me, right? Right? Everybody's able to hear me,
Yeah,
right? Okay. So I've been okay. I stopped regular streaming and stuff about last year December, a few months back, and after that, about 3 to 4 weeks back, I tried to restart it. I was on like so-called hiatus, and I tried to restart it. My internet just fully crashed, and apparently the main. So first of all, we have a monopoly over here.
in his building, not in
So
India.
it's really, yeah, not in India, like in my particular building, like the guy who provides us internet is also like some ex thug or something like that. So
He's
he keeps the other providers out. And for the past week, apparently there's been a virus in the main system, in the main internet, whatever their main internet provision system. So right now I'm being really, I'm on a lucky streak. Otherwise, within 2 hours or an hour's time, I have internet losses of 3 to 4 times. Sometimes it is half the day I don't have any internet for about more than a week. So I'm for the past half month or so I've gone back reverse in time in the Stone
he's returned to Stone
Ages.
Age. He's returning to Stone Age.
Yeah.
Reject modernity. Return to monkey.
Luckily on Steam I've been able to, yeah, I consider myself really lucky.
Well, your server guy is pretty interesting to say the least.
Yeah. I mean I am working towards changing everything, including internet
No,
providers.
see, can't you just get one of the geofibers fixed in your place?
Yeah, we are doing that only. We are working towards that only. It does
Okay.
take some time because we need approval from the what do you call it? Societies, buildings. We need approval, like legal approvals to do
It's a good thing I have a house of my own. I can't handle all that. Okay, so for context,
that.
Geo is like one of the few internet service providers that are good over here. So and it's pretty cheap. It's surprisingly cheap. I paid like 4,000 rupees for 6 months, which is how I put it. I know to USD.
30
No,
dollars,
for
35 dollars,
4,000 is $53. $53.50.
50. Okay.
For 6 months.
6 months. Good God, we pay that monthly.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Internet's
Garbage
pretty.
is that.
One good thing about India is internet's really cheap. Ever since the Ambanis came into the business, that's like one of the most powerful business families in Asia. Isn't he the richest man in Asia? Right now, let me check.
That keeps changing. I wouldn't really trust on
I
that. That
think
keeps
he's still
changing
the
every
richest.
single
I
day.
think Mukesh Ambani is still the richest man in Asia. Let me just search for richest man.
Yeah, regardless, but internet has been quite cheap and it has been improving
Yeah,
very well.
yeah. Mukesh Ambani is the richest man in Asia, 90.3 billion. So he came in. He got a his business got involved with internet service providing, and ever since he got involved, internet has improved drastically in the country.
That's good though.
That's
Yeah,
good to hear.
no,
That's
that's
really, really good to hear.
yeah, but
Yeah,
that's
it's like one guy came along and like he really made good internet services, and then every other existing provider was like, "Shit, we need to catch up."
and they're still
Now
catching.
everybody's fighting each other, and we are having fun. We are getting good
Yeah,
internet.
yeah, and the thing is, every other service provider hasn't reached the level of Geo yet.
Yeah.
Okay, so the funny thing is, I would say that his good deeds are compensation for his ugly ass house. Fuji, do you have an ugly picture of his house?
No, I don't.
Let me just
I'm
Google that.
currently in the process of cleaning my device.
See, every time I
I don't
download a
know
picture
whether
of his to show to people, I delete it after I'm done with it because every time I see it, it gives me increase my blood pressure.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, basically, currently India is in a giant like private internet rush.
I'd say
The private companies are
it's a
going
golden
next
age
and
of
next.
internet India,
Yeah.
and all because of one man.
Yeah, we have a problem here where, like, you have a community that in the state or in the county, you get like three to five internet providers, but you live in like a neighborhood or a community, and that community is exclusively like you can only get one ISP because there's some political or there's some payment going on that says this company is the only company allowed in your apartment complex or your community. And that's it. You can only have that one company. And it's like,
Interesting.
That's the
It's-
situation we have here down in Florida. Is that we didn't get the option to have Google come down and bring Google Fiber because it's like, no, you're not. We're not going to allow any of the new companies to lay down any more lines. I'm like, okay, great. So you're going to fix the old ones, right?
Nah, I'll be fine.
I have been up my provider's ass for years. I have been making sure they've got my stuff in order. I've been making sure they repair it whenever it's down. I've probably the most pain in the ass customer they have, but I guarantee you the people on my service line probably think me would know if I was on. I have been on their case for the majority of the time, and I've only recently had a major issue that I could not solve through them, and I've solved it by changing out routers, and it hit me exactly why, and this is something I can't really. It's an exploit that I won't share on here of what
You're
happened,
supposed to do that.
but the short version, without revealing a lot of things, is a community was attacked, stuff was downloaded, and that's why my MAC address for my router got basically compromised. So, and yeah, they were basically DDoSing my poor router. So I literally had to change it to fix my router situation.
Yeah, and one thing that you can do around here, and if you have like massive connectivity issues, is you can call most of the internet providers here in the US and say, you know what, I'm having really bad connectivity issues. Can you check my status? Can you check my traffic? And they'll do when they check it, they do oh, you've had a lot of negative traffic, DDoS type of activities, whatever, coming your direction. And you do can you change my IP address? They do okay. And they just reboot your router, give you a new IP address, and you're back up and running.
Okay,
So as long as it's not like
Actually,
still active on your computer, it does
I don't know.
help.
I don't know what provider you have, but she told me on the phone she had to network security is my forte, right? So that's the reason why I was on them the most. but sometimes you forget things. You let one thing slip. You forget an avenue of attack, and you don't think like that it would be me. You never think it would be me. And I look through my logs and I'm like, oh, I'm getting DDoSed because I'm on the phone with him at the time, and she's coaching me through it. And I'm like, and it hit me. Oh, I haven't checked that yet. So yeah, they cannot directly tell you, at least the provider I have, cannot directly tell you you're being DDoSed. They have to walk you to it, according to her words. They have to walk
You
you
know
to
why?
see that problem.
You know why?
Because the tech boys they bring out, they send out doesn't know that's happening when they check the line.
Nope. It's actually the way they do it is through making sure that everything is obscure as possible. They don't want the average home user to be able to do things that IT professionals know how to do. Because of that, they don't want that line there. If you need real assistance, like if you're having troubles like what Funky's having or was having, you'd have to talk to a tier 3 person, which basically means that they're allowed to actually handle this request. It doesn't mean the guy before them wasn't qualified to. They're just not allowed to because it's not a tier 3 request. So you have to work through this bureaucracy just to get to the person who is allowed to walk you through it, or is allowed to look at those particular logs to say, yeah, you have an issue. Let's go ahead and fix that by changing your IP address, changing some configuration on your router. You're going to have to redo all of your Wi-Fi logins. Let's do that for you and get you fixed up nice and neat. And then they'll do it, or I'll walk you through how to do it. So that is why they do that here. It comes down to policy and a political problem that we have of we don't want everybody knowing everything. So heaven forbid we actually tell the people who need to know this how to do their job. It's a bureaucratic mess.
Okay,
and
so
I worked with those industries, and it's not fun.
Okay, so over here, what we have is the guy on the phone will stick to the rules like this, but the guy they send you, just ask him, what are you doing? He'll tell you everything. The tricks of the
They
trade.
do that here too. Yeah, it's because he's not being recorded. The
Yeah,
guy that's on site will tell you, it's like, hey, you want to fix your internet? Here's how you do it. You log in here, you go to this page, and you do this thing. And you can change this setting here, and it will change your max speed cap. So you don't get throttled locally. You're throttled by the central office, sure. But the local system won't throttle you for your Wi-Fi or whatever. It's like, oh, cool, okay, and they'll set it up for you. And they'll walk you down to set it up. But the guy on the phone can't do that because if he does that and he's not quote-unquote qualified to make that change by their system, he could lose his job. It's stupid. It's idiotic. But it's the way they handle business. So that's why here in the US, we have really, really bad, we're notoriously bad. If you have to call in for tech support, that's why it's so bad. Is because these people, even if they know how to do it, they can't because they're afraid for their jobs. Because they know that their job is so lowbrow, that their job is so easy to do that you can take somebody from high school and teach them to do this job in 6 months. And this person has a bachelor's or a master's degree. And they want to keep their job. So they stick within the rules. Versus the guy that's in the field, he don't care. He does not care. He's in the field. He's not being recorded. He's not being monitored. You might get a phone call saying, hey, did you have a good service call? It's like, yeah, I had a great service call. The guy fixed all my issues. Great. Give the guy a bonus. But they can't monitor what he's doing. But they do monitor what the guy on the phone's doing. So it's a serious issue we have here.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, the person who did the walkthrough did it from their personal phone, and I was like, Yeah, I kind of figured that's why you had to do that. Like, you're basically trading conversations that we and her have. Um, I told her it's like, yeah, if you need somebody over, somebody who can add to the staff that would be willing to walk customer service. That wasn't. I got beat out by one guy who just had a little bit more experience than me, and I was like, oh well. But she said, but she said she's like, if I ever find it, if everything opens up again, I will definitely give you a ring. I'm like, ooh, I like that. um, hey, I showed my knowledge. I did not spend years where I go into a now defunct college to learn all of these things that are actual practical stuff and not actually utilize them.
Yeah.
That's why we have a problem in this country where everybody changes jobs every few years.
I won't say it's exclusive to your country.
We have a wonderful issue in this country where people will go to school for a job, they get out of school, they do the job for 3 to 5, and they change careers almost like completely. Like you'll go to school to be like a computer technician, and they'll change careers from like hardware to software, and then 5 years later they change from software to something else, and then like they're 20 years down the line, and like, what am I doing with my life?
Okay, Bella,
Because they've had so many different types of careers, and they're really not any farther ahead.
Bella, that's
than
like
they would have.
that's every Indian that went to college. You start off in IT, you go to finance or something like that, and then you end up as a what do you call it, an urban farmer, for lack of better words.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think we can wrap this up in I don't know, in 5 minutes, I guess, because I need to I need to go to bed.
Keep it up for 3 hours.
Yeah. Well, what was supposed to be a how long was it supposed to, a 1 hour stream ended up being 2.5 hours.
Oh, okay, I said I didn't know how long it was supposed to be. They kept
Yeah.
No, I mean that's what I had in mind based on what food he said. He said he wanted to go to bed by 12. It's 1:15 over here.
Yeah, so
It's
technically because of my like health issue, I was like I told Koki like I need to go to bed by 12. So let's have a fun time, but let's have that in mind. And I look at the time at the corner of the screen. It's 1 a.m. I'm like, shit.
Straight up.
No. Okay.
If you had said something earlier,
No,
I would have
no, the thing is,
eye on the clock.
no, the thing is, none of like what we had in mind is if anyone feels tired, we can drop off. That's what I had in mind.
Yeah, originally that is what we had in mind, but then like the conversation was so interesting and you had such like detailed information. I was like, okay, like,
Stuff we
I
never
think
knew.
I should listen to this. Yeah,
As I said to my own
it just
chat,
went on flowing.
oh, sorry. As I said to my own chat and in Cookie's chat, this has been an amazing cultural experience. I've actually greatly appreciated the. I greatly appreciate everything. I really do. It's
Yeah, it was a really fun
It's fun.
exchange. I had a blast.
And thing is, we should do it again some other time.
absolutely.
I would love to have both of you on the show again, if you can even call this a show.
We'll-
Let's plan.
You know what? We can make a like a banner or something. I mean, anyways, we started off saying it's a shit talking show. We can have like a banner saying shit show.
and maybe and hopefully next time we can sit down and maybe get some pre-plan some topics to try to
Cool, yeah.
tackle.
Yeah.
That way we're not this like I said earlier, unorganized, organized chaos.
I don't
Exactly.
mind unorganized chaos, but if we have to have some topics to plan for, then we could actually say like we're going to talk about this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time, hopefully, we don't have to fully wing it.
No, next time I'm planning on having a rough outline.
Sounds
Yeah.
like a great idea.
But
Okay.
it's been fun. I do have to say that I appreciate being here and wouldn't mind joining y'all again.
No, I really enjoyed having all three of you on board.
Absolutely, I totally agree. It was also nice. It was nice to have you guys all here.
Alright, I think we can end it with that. Anything you guys want to say before we stop?
Other than
Yeah,
a
well,
plug,
thank you.
I had a blast. I had a blast. Thank you very much for having me. And I mean, it was nice to meet you, Punky and Bella.
it was nice to meet you too, Fuji.
Same.
And it was nice to meet you, Bella. And it was nice to finally get a chance to talk more extendedly, Koki. I greatly appreciate it.
It was.
This opportunity.
I'm really happy all three of you came on. And I'd love to do this again some other time.
Excellent.
Alright, I think, and thanks a lot, chat. You really did give me some insights, especially the $1,000 thing. So I'm willing to show my history on stream right now. If you're willing to send it to me via PayPal. But I don't think he's still on. I don't think he has $1,000, so that's that. It was fun. It was really fun having all of you. And I'll just end the stream in 3, 2, 1. It's gone.